The 7-horse coming off that win last time out. And then a lot of the card to come from Oaklawn. You can play it all by getting signed up right there at Naira Bets. Get that offer, that $200 deposit match sign-up bonus. With that code, punch that in for new members. Bonus $200 at sign-up and bet any track, anywhere, anytime at NairaBets.com. So the 7th from here in South Ozone Park, New York. 6 furlong sprint. 2-year-olds fold in the state of New York. And Sir Cartwright, even money morning line, Mig, right now 5-2.
A little bit surprising. This was a horse that chased a very good Kenny B when Kenny B drew off to win by 8.5 lengths on debut and was bet down, was 4-1 that day. Came back, stepped his game up in the off-going in the second start. I don't think it was the off-going. I thought he ran well enough on a fast track that I just think it was a horse that improved from first to second start.
How'd you see it, JK? This was the win, got won by a neck in the debut. Mig brought up Kenny B. That horse second in that notebook with an 83 buyer first time out.
Yeah, I mean, the horse ran significantly better in the second start. But sometimes when this happens, when you have this kind of jump-up performance, I start to question, did the racetrack move him up? Was it the sloppy racetrack? Because he ran significantly faster than he did on debut. Now, that's not always the case. Maybe just second time out, he figured it out. So that's the game you have to play, is why did Sir Cartwright take that step forward? And I do think it's interesting that the 6th Saratoga Warrior is taking the money that he's taking, but it's not overly surprising. If you look at his 2 starts prior, he took money in both of his starts. And a lot of times that money when they're young horses indicates talent, and it seems like the bettors are coming back again, hoping that he'll run well.
And he just outfinished in that win. Last time out we showed you Volatile Situation, who just got beat at 3-5 a race earlier.
Volatile, the horse of Kimmel's, he actually flattened out too. He had no excuses. He had a decent enough trip. Volatile Situation, excuse me.
Meanwhile, here's a look at the 3 in the chase. And this horse wins first time out. You always give horses, 2-year-olds a little bit of extra credit when they do that, and was competitive in stakes company.
Well, the only time he ran in a non-stakes was on debut, and he was a winner. And I think he's absolutely very live here, and he's taking money too at 3-1. Eliseo
Ruiz will ride for Carlos David. So, yeah, blinkers come off after that 2-race experiment in stakes company. And this is going to be certainly an easier task, you would think.
But you know what? Let's not get carried away with the fact that he's dropping here from stakes. He did no running in those stakes, right? And I think that sometimes, I can play basketball against LeBron twice, and just because I've done that doesn't mean it's going to help me in my next start. You know what I mean? Hasn't done much running since that debut, and that would be my biggest concern.
You think his 2 starts after the debut, right? He went in the funny side. That was an okay effort against Moplex and soon-to-be King, who was stopped cold in the race yesterday. And then the futurity was way over his head. Maybe that just tore his confidence down a little bit.
Yep. Well, we'll start with Gimme, David Duggan, Kendrick Carmouche from the rail.
Yeah, Deeper Water stepping up from 40, and has been in 40 his entire career.
5-1 on a gate-to-wire winner to break his maiden last start, Western Wolf.
A good speed in all his races. Feels like he's going to have to improve, but he has a right to.
Here's the one that won first time out, and the blinkers come off now in the chase, who drops out of stakes company.
He did have that big performance first time out, and maybe this is an opportunity for him to get his confidence back. I'm worried it's gone.
Scheduling Dude tried stakes company against the impressive and undefeated Sacrosanct. He's cutting back in distance today.
Yeah, and I think the cutback helps. I still think he's going to have to improve.
Friend of the Devil tried turf, got a win last start. Unfortunately, no more grass around this season here.
Arguably the best lifetime race any of these horses have run has been by Friend of the Devil, but like you mentioned, Wolfie was on the grass.
Here's Saratoga Warrior, Danny Gargan trains.
Yeah, but he broke his maiden for maiden 40. Now, he's starting to drift up. He was favored early on. I think it's a more appropriate price for him.
And Sir Cartwright, again, he was even money morning line coming off that maiden win.
I loved his last race. I just don't trust his last race. That would be the biggest concern for me. And what I'm noticing on the 6th Saratoga Warrior, Wolfie, before we pop away from here, it isn't my racehorse. A lot of times, because they have so many owners, they can get a little early money. Everyone wants to bet on their horse, whether it's $5, $10, $20. It can impact early odds.
2 minutes away from a race that starts the late pick 4. Let's head downstairs, check in for the first time on the program with Maggie Wolfendale.
And we'll take a look here at your favorite, who, yeah, I think we all were suspecting that number 7, Sir Cartwright, would be a shorter price than what he is actively. We'll see if he dips down a little bit more here. But Sir Cartwright is a horse that, in the face of some others last time, and I admit I did pick the runner-up, Volatile Situation, that day. He looked fine. He looked fitter. He was very sharp as well. Today, though, and I am going to split hairs because he should be the favorite. His coat's gone the wrong way, and he just seems a lot more quiet. And the fact that he's not taking as much money as one would anticipate, I'm a little leery of him. So I'm actually going to go to the horse that I did like for second, that I am surprised is taking so much money. He's number 6, Saratoga Warrior. But as JK said, he was the favorite in both of his starts, and the favorite first time out in a maiden special weight, in which I just thought he looked a bit unfurnished, a bit underdeveloped. You know, there was a lot of development to be had mentally and physically for this guy, and I didn't see him in the paddock for his second start, but now here it is noted. He has filled out a lot. He's gotten a lot longer and just more athletic. He's still a little bit of a playful type, just a very boyish colt there, but I do like what I'm seeing from him quite a bit, and I've always felt as though connections have thought highly of this horse, and I'm wondering if he can put it all together now facing winners off a bit of a break, which could be another concern. As we'll jump towards the inside and taking some money, rightfully so, as he does get some class relief, is number 3 In the Chase. Those blinkers going off, and he won first time out without them on, so going back to what had worked, it's been a steady kind of descent, I would say, in performances, but as you guys said, there were some excuses, and this guy looks phenomenal. From the paddock to the racetrack, he really looks great against this field today. Well muscled, well composed, and rather confident. As we'll also take a look here at number 1, Gimme Gimme, who's going to be a price, but you know, Dave Duggan's horses always make my eyes kind of go to them because they're often just so well turned out. And one thing I'll say relative to the last time I saw him back on October 5th with that runner-up to Saratoga Warrior in that performance, a lot more awake. And sometimes, you know, once a horse breaks their maiden and wins their first start, that light bulb goes on and they're like, yeah, okay, let's do this. So he was a lot more energetic than what I'd seen from him in his first 2 starts. Today, kind of bouncing around the paddock. He's quite bouncy too as they head to the gate, Greg.
Maggie, thanks. Here we go, about to load up. The double suggests the 7 is going to be a pretty heavy favorite. 9 to 5, that price starting to come down. Look, we didn't talk a lot about Western Wolf. This horse, the way he won, gate to wire, breaking his maiden career start number 3, at least from a figures standpoint, he seems like a main contender, and he's 5 to 1 right now.
A lot of natural speed and good gate speed too. He leaves the gate running. And Mitch Friedman's a trainer whose horses round into condition. He doesn't crank them up to win early. Not that he can't win early. They get better with racing.
Yeah, it's funny. You look at Western Wolf, you know, on debut he made an easy lead and was 15 to 1 and got beat. Came back, was 3 to 1, easy lead, got beat. It took for him to be in a spot where he was odds on to be able to hold that lead. I feel like he's going to face much deeper water and much more pressure here today.
You know, the 5, incredibly quick turf sprint speed. We don't expect Sir Cartwright to be slow from the outside as well. See what this pace shapes up like near in this 7th as we get set for a start. 9 to 5. Sir Cartwright coming off that maiden victory. Winners for the first time here for the trainee of Jeremiah Engelhart. Manny Franco aboard. Start of the pick 4. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
Friend of the Devil. 2 out. Saratoga Warrior. Sir Cartwright is in. All set. And they're off. Speed from towards the inside from Western Wolf, and has company in between horses. In the Chase, Scheduling Dude is right there. Scheduling Dude with the nose in front. In the Chase goes right with this early leader, and these 2 hook up early. Outside of them, oh, we have one just pull up there, just being steadied. Going to be eased out of the race there is Western Wolf. Is being eased out of the race, is turned towards the outside. Western Wolf, Dylan Davis pulled up. The work into the far turn, and it's going to be Scheduling Dude who's got the lead. Scheduling Dude is in front, and there comes Friend of the Devil ready to challenge towards the outside. 3 wide is going to be Sir Cartwright. Sir Cartwright is ready to challenge from the 3rd spot, 3 wide. At the rail is In the Chase. Further back comes Gimme Gimme. Then from the back, that's Saratoga Warrior. And the crews have gotten over to the 2. Western Wolf has been pulled up. It's there on the far turn. Looks to be okay for now. Scheduling Dude is sprinting away from the rest of the field. Scheduling Dude is now 4.5 winding lengths in front for a final furlong. Scheduling Dude still chasing their Sir Cartwright down the center of the racetrack. It's all Scheduling Dude. Jose Lescano will get the victory. It's Scheduling Dude to win this one easily. Scheduling Dude wins it over Sir Cartwright, then came In the Chase, followed by a photo. That was Gimme Gimme with Saratoga Warrior. In 1 minute 10 seconds flat.
Tough one to come up with here. Rick Detro Jr. Barn, Jose Lescano, Scheduling Dude. We had an odds-on favorite defeated back in the 6th. Now an 11-1 shot, beating an 8-5 favorite, potentially on our way to a double pick 6 carryover.
And this sort of Scheduling Dude showed really good speed. I didn't see him playing out to be the speed of the speed, but when Western Wolf had to take up and ultimately was eased, he found himself on the lead and just kept finding Jonathan.
I guess they just had to keep avoiding Sacrosanct. He's run against Sacrosanct twice and beaten poorly, very badly, 40-something lengths, 15 lengths, and then the times he gets away from him, he wins for fun. So that's the plan.
Sacrosanct, probably certainly one of the best New York-bred 2-year-olds, if not the best right now. Saw him win just the other day, and we'll talk more about that performance a little bit later on. But yeah, this 2 times he's not faced him. This horse now a winner, still I think a little tough to find, as the board reflects.
Certainly. He absolutely stepped his game up. This was another level of an effort for him.
Well, it's interesting, too, because that one good performance was for Maiden 40. And when you're looking at a group like this, with winners at Maiden Special Weight, and impressive winners at Maiden Special Weight, you just don't look at these types through the same lens as you do a Maiden Special Weight winner. So it's just hard to predict that they're going to jump up and do that. But they're young horses, and look, Maiden Special Weight horses can run for Maiden 40. They just don't usually do that.
Out of the gate, what happens here with the 2 Western Wolf?
Well, look like Dylan's trying to send him along. You see his reins, loose and asking him for speed, and the outside horses start to come over a bit. Now it looks like he's looking at them. Look at the way his head's turned, right? He's looking at these outside horses. Man, he almost climbed over the fence. Now he always had room. He just spooked from the horses outside of him. The horse himself was afraid they were going to come over, and he always had room. He created his own problem, but it wasn't a soundness issue. He almost climbed over the fence.
Dylan Davis, wow, heart had to drop in that scenario, scraping the fence right there. Nice job to stay on, and scary situation, obviously.
And when you get a young horse, and you could see for about 50 yards before he actually made that move at the fence, his head was cocked because he's looking at those horses, and he has no buffer, no buffer zone, right? There's no room. There's the rail. So when he felt like they were going to come over to him, he kind of half jumped, hit the fence. Man, he did good to keep his feet, and Dylan did good to stay in the middle of him.
4-7, 3-1, big upset, and back-to-back upsets now, races 6 and 7 here in New York as we head out to Hot Springs. And one of their features this afternoon, this 8th race, Fillies, mares, 3 and up at 1 mile and 1/16th. Loses a big name, Lemon Muffin coming out. Last year's winner of the Grade 3 Honeybee, going to run in a race next week for legendary D. Wayne Lucas. But in Just My Heels, we touched on briefly, top of the show, for Ron Moquette. She'll try and win her 3rd in a row. The last 2 coming at Horseshoe Indy as we check in with Paula Duca.
Yeah, and I'm with you, Greg. She is the one to beat, this 3-year-old filly. Ever since Ron Moquette took the blinkers off, she's been dynamite in her last 2 efforts. And, I was able to talk to Ronnie. We weren't really supposed to get a ton of rain today. This was supposed to dry up a little bit, then all of a sudden the skies opened up again. His only worry is the mud. The horse has never run on a wet surface, but the form that this horse is in cannot be denied. I mean, just like the last 2 efforts, he laid this horse up and then ran him right back on November 5th. This horse is striding out very nicely. So, I mean, the one to beat, you mentioned Lemon Muffin out of the race, takes a big number out. So I would think that In Just My Heels and Musical Note will take a lot of money in the race. I do think Contour in there is a sneaky horse That's 15-1 on the morning line, and with the scratch 11 lemon muffin, Greg, will be around 5 or 6 to 1. I think he's got a shot.
All right, Paulie, we look forward to that. Coming up, race 8, 4:46 Eastern time. As we move along in the card here, and this has been certainly the last 2 races, a little difficult to come up with these winners.
Yeah, but kind of spicing up the multi-race sequences here. This horse ran huge. And listen, the track's playing a bit fast today, but 110.15, this was a big effort.
Scheduling dude cut back in distance, and the win for a barn that has been just incredibly hot, JK, at this meet.
Oh, absolutely. Been on absolute fire, and not with like 8 runners either, right? I mean, with like around 30. It's to be hitting at that clip is pretty impressive. And one thing to keep in mind, if you are alive in the pick 6, or if you're not alive in the pick 6, this is one of those races where I felt like the 7 Sir Cartwright was going to be one of the most singled horses. And when you can beat a horse that's likely to be singled with a double-digit horse, that really increases the chances of having another carryover.
Yeah, as was the 3-5 favorite in race 6. So it's back-to-back, probably the 2 most singled horses the entire day. This is, if it gets hit, you're going to get rewarded big time. We got a couple of legs still remaining. We're going to take a timeout. Legendary Dwayne Lucas, no lemon muffin for him today. We'll see her next week, but we will see a long shot chance for him coming up in the next race with Waco from the rail. We'll be back. Back with you on our FS1 Sunday coverage from Aqueduct and Oaklawn Park. Program brought to you in part where you can play it all at Nara Bets. Go to NaraBets.com. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Let's head back to Oaklawn. 4th race, mile and a 16th. And 2-year-olds in restricted claiming race. All trying to break their maiden here. Sold for $75,000 or less in their last auction. And it's brother Tony, 3/3 in 4 tries. is the one to beat from the outside at 9-5. We'll put blinkers on for Peter Miller. Comes in from the West Coast.
Seems like Peter Miller has kind of handpicked what he brought to Oaklawn, Jonathan, and he's 2 for 2 so far at this very early Oaklawn meeting.
Well, I mentioned Dwayne Lucas going to break. We're going to see his long shot from the rail to kick things off. Waco making start number 3.
I'm sorry. You're even. I'm
No, drawn down on the inside. Doesn't have a lot of speed to get out of that tough spot.
Lord away, Kenny McPeak, 4-1.
Has improved with in each of his 3 starts so far. Could take another step forward here.
Get to him in a moment. Getting a long look here at Waco. There's Lord away. It's a good effort last start, and we'll see how he fares. First time on a track with some moisture in it. Julian Leperoux will be aboard. Big work, too, coming into this spot. And here's the 4, Curvino.
Yeah, another Peter Miller runner who tried turf, got back to dirt. I like the other Peter Miller, though.
Jukebox, blinkers on, second try on dirt.
This horse has actually taken a little bit of money in his 2 starts. Maybe the blinkers will wake him up.
28-1. Surfin' M next door for Greg Compton. Productive debut at Keeneland.
Yeah, going a mile to 16th, first time. Could improve from a fitness standpoint there, and you get Christian Torres.
9-2. One of the top trainers in our sport, Brad Cox, start number 3 for Hired Gun, coming off a dirt debut at Churchill Downs.
Debuted going long on the turf, then tried long on the dirt. That equals slow to me, in my opinion.
9-2. Ramon Vasquez will ride for Brad Cox. Kevin Strike next door. Our colleague Tom Amos and Rafael Bejarano team up.
Yeah, stretching out from 7 furlong races. Source making his 4th start at 4 different racetracks.
Yeah, Ellis, Churchill, Delta, now Oaklawn, logging those miles. And then Brother Tony, again, the 9-5 favorite for Peter Miller.
Yeah, I like the way that he ran last time against Journalism, who won yesterday out at Los Al, beating Gaming, who was odds on.
Yeah, I was going to try and bring the record for graded stakes victories in a single year for Flavian Pratt, but he'll have more opportunities to get that done. Short price, Paul, on Brother Tony. Outside, 1-2 in here for Peter Miller.
Yeah, and listen, the way the Peter Miller's horses have come into this meet so far, he's had 2 starters, and they both have, I want to say 3 starters, but he's had 2 that have really won well. Alanis and Kale's Angel, who won the stake race. So, you know, he's coming in here with intent. So, like, you have to look at the 4 and 9. But I'll start with the 2 lured away. It just seems like the Kenny McPeak runners handle a muddy racetrack. Like I was saying earlier, we were not really expecting rain today. It was supposed to dry out a little bit, but we actually are getting more rain during the racing day than we were yesterday. And, you know, Kenny's horses fire. And this horse has got a bullet drill going in. That's not Kenny McPeak. They do not work that fast in the morning. So I would think the 2 has got a decent look in here at 7-2. Now the 2 Peter Miller runners, the 4 and the 9, Corvino, you know, this horse is in for the $100,000 tag. You know, this is a restricted kind of race. You can be in for 100 or not. And this horse is in for the tag. But, you know, a son of Vino Rosso that they paid $110,000 for seems like the horse that might be coming from maybe behind. Did some decent racing on the turf. You know, that last race was not that bad coming from way, way out of it. And I'm wondering if that's the horse that kind of is the horse that you have to watch out late. And then Brother Tony with the blinkers going on. I landed here, the horse to beat. And the other part about it is this is a grandson of Candy Ride. They usually love the mud, being a son of Unified. The blinkers go on. I think there's intent here to maybe go towards the front. I'm just not in love with the 7 Hired Gun. It seems like the Brad Cox barn has gotten to a slow start so far. So I'll go with the 9 here, and I wouldn't be surprised if the other Peter Miller runs well too.
Interesting. Thanks, Paulie. That's the 4 Curvino, the other from that barn. Curvino right now 9-2. And second start back on dirt. He was no match for his stablemate last time out, but he had some traffic that day.
Yeah, I mean, Curvino is one that he's got a couple of dirt races that put him in the mix here. Doesn't have a lot of early speed, and on this racetrack, I think that's probably not ideal. And he's being bet a little bit here, too, at 9-2. I think that of the two, I prefer the other because he's drawn better, but he doesn't have great early speed either. The one thing the strongest opinion I have here is that I'm against the 7 Hired Gun, and Paulie mentions that Brad Cox started off to be a little bit slow here at the meet. He's going to get his wins. I think for me the part that is that debuting long at Indiana on the grass with this pedigree, then trying long on the dirt, to me, when they try long first time out for these types of operations that have these really talented horses, to me it just screams slow.
Well, horses that are speed types show their ability in the morning. They're flashy. I think you're hit on something that's, key. He just was slow in his morning trial, so let's try him when there's a slower pace. I agree with you. I think it's a great way to look at it.
Meanwhile, there's the favorite. So 9-5 on the more highly regarded Peter Miller runner here. Ricardo Santana Jr., by the way, coming into today, the former 8-time riding champ at Oaklawn. 762 career wins at this racetrack alone.
Wow.
It's amazing. Of course, all those years, main rider for North America's all-time winningest trainer, Steve Asmussen. Now has had to find other business, but he's going to get his wins.
Absolutely. He's outstanding. I think he's a great rider. I think the 5's going to run better. I'm hopeful the 5 runs better than the 34-1. Has taken money in a couple of starts, adds the blinkers. Hopefully that can wake him up.
Favorite outside for Peter Miller. We're set for the 4th. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman for the call.
Post position 8. Put back. Brother Tony. We're ready to go. And we're off. An eventful start. Hired Gun gets into it early. Surf and M alongside in the early part. Waco down inside of that pair. These 3 across the track approaching the first turn run. Brother Tony sets up shop right behind them. Curvino to the inside going into the first turn run. Space of 2 to Kevin Strike racing alone. Lured away is second to last. And Jukebox is at the back of the pack. Around the clubhouse turn, a contentious pace. Waco is setting that pace. Just a narrow lead for him. It's about a neck. Surf and M between horses right there pressing the issue. And Hired Gun's not going away. He's 3 wide in the pink. A gap of 2.5 lengths to Brother Tony. The favorite gets a perfect trip off the contentious pace. Another 2 lengths to Curvino. Backs off that rival. He's in 5th. Then Kevin Strike lured away. Still has 1 runner beat. And that's Jukebox, who can only see backside as they approach the half-mile pole, where the pacemaker is Waco. On the inside, leads by that neck margin. Surf and M hounding from the outside. Hired Gun 3rd approaching the far turn run. Getting closer, Hired Gun, as they go into the far turn. 2.5 to Brother Tony. Shaken up from there, being asked to produce a bid. He is moving up a little bit now as they round the far turn. Curvino, 5th on the fence. He's gaining ground. Kevin striking an all-out drive. Lured away, stays on the rail, still second to last. Jukebox has been outrun. Waco's getting swallowed up. He's done. Hired Gun finds himself in front and turns for home with a clear lead. Brother Tony is asked for his best on the outside, plugging away between horses, finding a seam there. It's going to be a little bit tight, but Curvino is finding his way through between horses. The Peter Miller entrance after Hired Gun, and on the extreme outside, Lured Away is kicking it in. Lured Away and Julian Leperoux soar to the lead with Curvino, who's alongside. Now Curvino takes over, and Curvino wins. Curvino over Lured Away, then Brother Tony in Hired Gun.
It is the other Peter Miller, Curvino, career start number 7, appreciating this off-going.
And he threaded his way between horses, got to save a lot of ground under Francisco Arrieta, and it looked like Lured Away was just going to inhale the field, coming with this big run on the outside. But once Curvino got his head through that hole, it was like he found a bit more, and possibly the 2 Lured Away hung a smidge.
Yeah, it's funny. You know, Mig, I'll ask you this. Do you think maybe he thought his job was just to pass the 9, and then he passed the 9 and just kind of stopped a little bit?
Yeah, and then it was like, oh, wait, there's someone else there. You can't stop and start that momentum.
I thought he was going to win for fun. Yeah. When he at about the 16th pole, he had all that momentum.
Yeah. Francisco Arrieta aboard for the win. 993 career wins in North America for Francisco Arrieta as he closes in on that all-important 1,000 for his career. Did you remember your 1,000th? Was that a big number for you?
No, honestly, I couldn't tell you who my first 2,000 winners were. They didn't really, back in that period of time, they didn't start paying attention until you got to about 3,000. So I have no idea who my 1,000th winner was or who my 2,000th winner was.
It's amazing from a guy who remembers just about every single win of his career.
You see, that was a little bit of a flex by me. I don't remember the 1,000th. I don't remember the 2,000th.
I do remember the 3,000th and the 4,000th.
Okay. Eighth race back here at Aqueduct, 5 minutes from a start. And here's a look at our current favorite, 5-2 outside with Optic Way, Gustavo Rodriguez, Manny Franco. Look to go back-to-back. This one went gate to wire last time out.
No, he did, and he's drawn perfectly to take advantage of that situation again. I mean, he was drawn towards the inside here. He went to the front. But if he doesn't want to make the lead in here, he's drawn in that comfortable 11 hole to the outside to see what all 10 horses inside of him do, and he can he doesn't have to be dictated to. But it's nice to know, I think, if you're Manny Franco, to know that you have this club in your bag if you need it. I'll just go.
9 days ago.
You know what, though? It's when they're good, run them.
You see, I believe in that. When they're good, run them. And when they need to back off, then you back off. But when a horse is in good form and they're doing well, and he's certainly a horse that carries good weight. He doesn't look like a horse, at least on TV, that's tucked up off of that effort. And, Jonathan, it's so true. 1-turn miles, at Aqueduct, Belmont, you have half a mile to the far turn. Outside draws are just such an advantage. You allow to get into a good rhythm, gallop down the center of the track, especially with a horse with natural speed. They're going to take you to where you need to be.
There's a 0% chance this horse ends up wider than a 2 or 3 path. He's got too much time to work something out.
Yeah, and too much natural speed.
Yep.
I mean, he has sprint speed. He's legitimately quick. This race is going to kick off the cross-country Pick 5. You can play it through NYRA Bets. Races 8 and 9 Aqueduct, and then 5, 6, and 7 from out in Hot Springs at Oaklawn. Good luck. We saw the cross-country pay, whatever, $5,600 yesterday?
Yep, 57, I think. Don't cheat them that extra 100 there,
Okay.
Wolfie.
Didn't mean to. It'll be in your account, we promise. Post-parade coming out. We're going to kick things off with Command Performance. I thought had an outside look at a big price.
Yeah, he's a funny horse, right? I mean, he was one that was like a Derby hopeful at one point. He's just a pluggy horse. I'm not sure if he's going to get the pace he needs to close into.
This is Blake B for Michelle Giangiulio.
Yeah, with a rider that's a 10-pound apprentice, giving a young man a start here.
Prince of Joy. Can you make any case for this long shot?
I cannot.
This 4-horse, probably not good enough to win, but he could be a thorn in the side of the favorite, no?
Horse has been showing good speed up at Finger Lakes, and usually that speed translates even if the form doesn't.
Beachwalker, major player, 4-1 here for Rudy Rodriguez.
This horse ran okay last time. I'm just a little concerned about the style for him.
Another one making a quick comeback for Rudy Rodriguez there. Wild Banker, 25-1.
Yeah, it just feels like Wild Banker's going to have to improve to be competitive here.
Bar 14, this horse quick early as well, and he's better than what he showed in his last race.
Yeah, he's been stopping badly in his last couple of starts. He's going to have to try to figure out and rectify that. Maybe the drop in class can help out there.
Mystic Knight went by. We'll get back to him. He has the biggest races of anyone in the field if he can find them. And then here's Fiery Heart.
Yeah, Fiery Heart hasn't won since the summer. That was at Finger Lakes.
Dylan Davis for Wayne Potts, first off the claim, Mr. Swagger.
Yeah, making his first start for Wayne Potts off of that claim. I'd like to see him pick up the bid a little bit more in the warm-up, what I saw on TV.
And here's Manny Franco, 8-5 favorite now, Optic Way.
I mean, he's the most likely winner. He's got the style that you like to see. But if you look at his races 2, 3, 4 back, I mean, those are disappointing performances that don't give you a lot of confidence.
Minute to post in the 8th. Let's go down to Maggie.
We'll check in with a horse who is actually getting a debut rider, and that is number 2 in here, Blake B. Gian Vasquez. As Michelle Giangiulio said to me, he just would rather have just Vasquez on the form. I don't know where he said they got all those last names from. But he is Michelle's exercise rider, and he is a graduate of the Puerto Rican riding school. So making his debut here, wishing him the best of luck, but he's also sitting atop a horse that honestly physically looks best in this field, and I do think a 1-turn mile is much preferred for him, opposed to that 1 1/8 that he got last time, though running okay in that spot there. As he runs at this level, you know, the 12.5, I think this is really his game. He looks so strong, and this is typical for him and Michelle's horses in general, but I love the way he's moving out there too. So I'm going to take a little bit of a stab with him, and I like that Gian obviously knows this horse quite well, having probably been on him every single morning. Moving on to number 8 in here, Mystic Knight, who goes first off the claim for Gustavo Rodriguez. And I'll say this, he is a lot more tucked up than what I saw from him 2 back. Just a horse that was carrying a lot of excess weight. He is a heavier bone type, but I like the fact that he's a little bit more defined and streamlined now, making his first start for these connections. Number 9, Fiery Heart, he's a big price up there, but Mark Hennig will opt to stretch this horse back out in distance. So looking for him to be a little bit more forward, a little bit more intact with the field early on here, and his one try that shows on form here back in August of last year was decent enough, albeit at Finger Lakes, but he does make a nice impression. He's a bigger horse, which is typical of the outwork line, but physically he doesn't look up against it for getting and trying this distance, again, at a big price. And then we'll check in with your favorite. That's number 11, Optic Way, who I had thought when he first moved into Gustavo's barn, really kind of had filled out, looked stronger, looked better behind. And I get it, striking while the iron's hot. That's what you've got to do with these kind of lower level types of horses. But I don't think his job gets any easier with the presence of bar 14 in here to his inside. Yes, he's drawn well. That helps Optic Way as your 2-to-1 favorite. But with the quick turnaround in mind, I still wish his coat and his weight looked better. You know, he's not necessarily checking that box as I would like to see him at a short price. So I'm going to take a stab here with Blake B. Greg?
Maggie, thanks. Getting set for the 8th coming up. So Mig doesn't remember his 1,000th or 2,000th wins. Do you remember your career debut? We're going to see Jean Vasquez here on his debut coming up on Blake B.
I do remember my debut very well. It was the last race of the day at Belmont Park in September of 1980. 12-horse field, maiden 25s. The horse's name was Good Grip for my boss, Steve DeMauro. 12-horse field, 9 of the riders in the race are in Racing's Hall of Fame. And I had no idea where I was going. And Nick Santagata, who's been a dear friend of mine since I was a kid, walked me to the paddock. He rode the race and made sure I got to where I needed to be. And I've got a picture of me walking out with him, and I look like I'm about 12 years old, and I look scared to death.
Where'd you finish?
Middle of the pack, probably 5th or 6th. But Lafitte Pink Guy was in there, Chris McCarron, Angel Cordero,
Wow.
George Velasquez. It was
Legends.
a power pack field.
Favorite in this 8th coming up. We'll see how Jean Vasquez does in his debut on Blake B, facing some good ones too. Favorites Optic Way, Manny Franco. You got Dylan Davis, Mr. Swagger. Let's send it upstairs. Chris Griffin with the call.
Retail man goes in. Two out. Beachwalker and Optic Way. Optic Way to the outside. Goes in. All set. And they're off. Optic Way breaks well from the outside, and also in the early mix comes Blake B. Is joined by Prince of Joy, who's going to be in the early fray. But crossing over in front of the field is Optic Way, who's got the speed, as well clears up by a length and a half. Here's pressure from Mr. Swagger towards the outside as they come out of the chute. Down towards the inside, still Prince of Joy is in between rivals, is now a challenging 3rd. Blake B is at the rail in 4th. Followed to the outside, red cap comes Mystic Knight, who's in 5th. On the far outside, 4 wide in that group is Fiery Heart. Then in behind them, that's Retail Man. It's followed towards the outside by bar 14. They're going to be mid-pack. The 3 at the back. Wild Banker with the gray command performance, and the trailer Beachwalker. They work up the backstretch 23.45 for the opening quarter mile, and the lead is Optic Way. Optic Way is doing it easily. It's Optic Way who's a half length in front. Mr. Swagger challenging towards the outside in a 46.47 half-mile time. A group of 4 in behind them. At the rail, Blake B. In the 2-path, Prince of Joy. 3 wide in that group comes Mystic Knight, who's in 5th. Under the drive there in 6th is Fiery Heart. From the back, trying to rally on here from 7th is Bar 14. Is to the outside of an 8th, Retail Man. And from far out of it, trying to rally on, Beachwalker. The front 2 have got it so far. Optic Way tries to close the deal. Mr. Swagger in full pursuit, and these 2 are now nose to nose as they approach a final furlong. Mr. Swagger's taking the lead. It's Mr. Swagger who's now opening up Optic Way, who's back to 2nd, far back to 3rd right now. It looks like it's going to be a show for the Miners. It's going to be all Mr. Swagger. Mr. Swagger does it easily and at a nice number. Mr. Swagger wins it over Optic Way. Beachwalker gets up there for 3rd. Then came Blake B., who's in a photo with the oncoming Wild Banker in 1:37 flat.
7-1, upsets continue. Mr. Swagger first off the claim, Barn of Wayne Potts, and Dylan Davis aboard.
And the key was Dylan having this horse in position. The favorite, Optic Way, was able to clear, but then he went right to his outside and sat on his hip, set him down, and this was a big effort. Good call, Jonathan.
No, thank you, Mig. If you look at this horse's, Mr. Swagger's last 12 races, he has never been closer than 3rd, and that was only once, right? He was 6th, 3rd, 7th, 4th, 6th, 8th, 9th, 4th. Dylan had him 2nd, and that was the difference. He sat right off of the speed, and he finished like a horse who comes from out of it, who didn't have to come from that far out of it. These are the types of decisions that Dylan has been making for the last 5-6 months that have led to him being one of the top riders in this colony and in this country.
Absolutely get your position going forward. Put them in the race, and he was always in position to win. I have to comment, though, John Gonzalez Vasquez on the 2, Blake B. Riding his first race, rode a good race. Looked very cool, looked like he was seeing the race well. He handled himself extremely well, and he gave his horse every opportunity. To be fun to watch his evolution as a rider going forward.
7-1 upset. Just keeps coming on a pick 6 carryover afternoon. We'll have the prices when we come back. 10, 11, 5, 2 in the 8th. Stay with us. Still ahead. We'll get back to Hot Springs. That man right there has been the story the last couple of years, including back in 2022, won almost $800,000 the first 6 days of the meet. Stay with us.
Here we go. 3 here. 50. Down 4. 8.5. In the back. 1,400,000. Stands way in the back. Thank you.
$1,500,000 and $1,600,000. $150,000. $1,550,000 and a half. $1,500,000. Jody, thank you.
Please hold your applause.
Charlatan, ultra impressive. It's a new day for a new king.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
There's a big, bold, beautiful world waiting to be explored by you and your friends, of course. But not just any friends, the best of friends. The kind of friends who let you do you. Because in this world, it's positive vibes only. And when you get in the zone here, you stay a while. These aren't just good times, they're the best of times. And your time is now. So come explore. Resorts World.
Back with you on our Sunday coverage on Fox Sports 1, watching America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm, 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. That man is doing things unusually well of late. Dylan Davis, what a breakout summer he had at Saratoga, and now he's off to chase bigger mounts down in Florida very shortly here.
Yeah, he's going to head to Florida, and that's, the idea of going to Florida for the winter is to put yourself in a position to pick up a good 3-year-old, horses for the classics, and ingratiate yourself with stables that have those consistent grade 1 type performers. It'll be an adjustment, but the way he's riding, I'm sure he'll do well.
And the top of the heap down there are people that he rides with every day anyways.
Yeah.
Right, so it's not like he's going to go in there and there's going to be some big dog there that he's not familiar with.
No, he's already competed with the best that goes down there from New York for the winter. He's going to have to learn how the riders that ride there year-round ride, and it is a little bit different. And just getting familiar with your competition is always a little bit of a learning curve.
Look at this, races 6, 7, and 8 make you think that we could be potentially looking at a double pick 6 carryover, still 2 legs to go. See how it plays out, obviously, the rest of the way. If we get a couple of favorites here late, probably gets hit. We'll see what happens here. 1 turn mile in this New York bred first level allowance race coming up, where the 8 and the 9 figure to take a ton of money.
Yeah, the 8, the 9, and it seems like the 10 stress reliever also taking some money. Those outside draws and in dirt racing, I think, for me, my preference, I don't want to get stopped. It's not like turf racing where you can kind of start and restop. I think outside draws help prevent that from happening.
Did you see those? That one, Philly started with Chad Brown, now she's with Brad Cox. Slow races, though. Is she taking more money than she probably should because of who she's with?
Yeah, I mean, I think that has something to do with it. But I think one of the things, whether it was a Chad Brown runner going to Brad Cox or a Brad Cox runner going to Chad Brown, they're both future Hall of Famers, and sometimes they can just push different buttons that the other one's not pushing. I don't see any issues there with that switch.
Back at Oaklawn, a heated argument went by. Here's Man in the Can at 6-1.
Yeah, turning back in distance, been showing speed going further.
Music Mistress Francisco Arrieta looks to add another today.
Yeah, kind of a late-running sprinter that does have some nice final figures.
Table money, turf moving back to dirt for this long shot. We'll see next.
Yeah, it's going to have to improve, but did run well in slop at Hawthorne, going 5 furlongs, 2 back.
Solway's done most of his good, at least very recent work, going a little bit longer. He'll shorten up.
Yeah, he'll be finishing, though, and adds Lasix here, too.
9-2 right now on a major player with Christian Torres, who we told you about going to break. Summer Shoes, Rocco Bowen rides.
Yeah, also getting back to the dirt. Last seen at Oaklawn in a slap, ran the best race, one of the best races of her life with Chelsea Bailey.
Black Apple, haven't seen since this meet earlier in the year, back in May, and was in a state-bred stakes race, non-factor.
Yeah, but you know what, though? If you look, Black Apple on a muddy and sloppy racetrack here at Oaklawn, this is going to be one of those. He likes it. She likes it, excuse me. Navy
SEAL went by, 9-5. Favorite, huge effort. Last start at Hawthorne in defeat. There's the 9, Betty's Cash.
Yeah, drawn towards the outside and has some tactical speed and hasn't always shown that. Kind of lost that speed for a little while. I think that's a perfect draw for this type of horse.
A lot of money right now on Navy SEAL, on a huge effort, Paulie, but that huge effort last time out came at Hawthorne.
Yeah, it did came at Hawthorne, Greg, but it seems like the Hawthorne shippers, or the Stickney, Illinois, Chicago, whatever you want to call Hawthorne, they've done well since they've come in here. And I think the recent racing for this horse is huge. You know, the Navy SEAL ran against Lockmore. He ran against some really nice horses. So I think he is the one to beat at 2-1. We'll start with Solway for Golden Arrow Racing and Ronnie Moquette. You're right. This is a horse that's a player in here. Just whether Ronnie has this horse ready, and he did off the layoff last year sprinting, and horse came from dead last and circled the field. Obviously, this is going to be a little bit tougher spot, but I can see the 5 here at 9-2. The 7, Black Apple. I got to know the reason behind that name because the white on this horse, he's almost pure white. First time gelding, but Jonathan makes a good point. 4 for 4 over wet surfaces. So he's a major, major player here just on that alone. I mean, when a horse is undefeated, all 4 wins are over wet surfaces. So I can understand why people are going to the 7. Now, the 9, Betty's Cash, I think it's the speed of the speed. I think that's why the public is going there. I landed on the favorite, the 8. And I just think the recent racing, Bejarano getting aboard, drew the rail a couple times, gets an outside draw. I think he'd be tactical enough. He's going to have to stay a little bit close. If the 9's able to maybe get out and try to get towards the front end, maybe that can maybe get the 8 in a good position. But I'm not giving you nothing much here, Greg. I do think Black Apple is the wild card horse in here. If this horse is ready, is the best horse in the field. But I'm going to take the Now horse with the 8.
Yeah, and the public agreeing with you, Paul. Thanks. Navy Seal, the 8, 2-1 favorite on your screen right now. Big performance last time out in mid-September at Hawthorne, but has shown the ability to run big races here at Oaklawn as well.
Yeah, getting back with Arkansas breds. It's interesting, too. You had 9-horse field. You've got 4 fillies and mares and 5 colts or geldings, right? So they just want to get back in with that Arkansas bred company. And horses that, the Navy Seal's coming off a bit of a freshening. I wouldn't even say a layoff, late, mid-September. Hawthorne's a track that puts a lot of foundation into horses.
Wolfie, we heard Paul talk about the 7 Black Apple. I just want to touch this again because sometimes people will say, oh, this is a sloppy racetrack horse. Oh, they won on the slop at Saratoga. They're going to love the slop at Santa Anita. It's different racetracks. There's not every sloppy racetrack is the same. However, Black Apple has won at Oaklawn on a muddy track, on a sloppy track, and 2 wet fast tracks. I think Black Apple does like moisture in the racetrack at Oaklawn Park.
I agree. Got to prove, though, that this one can sprint. The wins have come and the good performance have come going longer.
That's the key, right? The 6 fronts. You're going to be a bit sharp for this horse. Although coming off of a layoff, sometimes horses are just naturally sharper. They're more enthusiastic because of the layoff. Also comes back as a gelding. Could change a lot of things.
Off since May. At this meet earlier in the year, new gelding off the bench. Looks like some sharp work, so particularly that bullet drill back at the Churchill Downs Training Center late November. So 4-1, Black Apple, 2-1 favorite, the 8 Navy Seal. Interesting race. I mean, look, the 2 man on the can, Ron Moquette, Keith Asmussen, and this one cutting back in distance as well, but this one, an 8-time winner.
8-time winner, over $560,000 in earnings, and I think that's a testimony to that Arkansas breeding program. They offer some really nice big purses.
There's Keith Asmussen stepping in for Ron Moquette. We'll have more on that trainer a little bit later on in the program, and he'll have one of the major players coming up in that 8th race that we talked about in Just My Heels, trying to win her 3rd in a row. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman. Here's the 5th from Oaklawn, start of the late pick 5.
Navy Seal coming up. Table money, second to last. Into the outside, Betty's Cash. Betty's Cash, the last one in line. The Best Turned Out Award winner. Sponsored by the Arkansas HBPA. Table money's in. And here's Betty's Cash. We're ready to go. And they're off. Heated argument on the inside was off slowly. Table money shoots to the front with Betty's Cash. These two share the top spot, and they lead by about 2 lengths. Man in the Can runs in the 3rd position. Then a line of 3. Music Mistress inside of Summer Shoes, and Navy Seal, who's deep on the course. A gap of 3 to Heated Argument, second to last with Black Apple, and that leaves Sulway to trail the field as they head towards the 4-turn run. The quickest of the bunch is Betty's Cash, and without being asked, strides clear and opens up about 2. Table money Money begins to backpedal already. He's being joined by a wall of horses here. On the outside, Navy Seal's making a nice run in the black jacket. There goes Navy Seal all the way into second. Needs to catch Betty's Cash, who hits the 5/16 pole, clearly ahead, the one to beat. Navy Seal in an all-out drive in the second position. He needs to pick it up. Table Money still hanging around. Man in the can between that pair begins to struggle as they come down the lane. Betty's Cash still in front. Navy Seal, though, he's wearing him down. He's finding his best stride now, and Navy Seal is up to tackle Betty's Cash. Navy Seal to the lead with a 16th to go. Navy Seal on top. Sulway from far out of it is coming like a rocket, but Navy Seal's on top. Navy Seal, Nancy Knott, Rafael Bejarano team up with a consistent Arkansas bred. Navy Seal won it. Sulway second, third home Betty's Cash in a photo for fourth.
Furious finish from Solway, but comes up short. It's Navy Seal, 6-year-old, who gets his 6th career victory.
Yeah, hard-hitting, consistent sort. Put himself in a good spot. And son of midshipman, Rafael Bejarano getting it done. That distinctive right way of right-handed use of the crop. How about the late run from the 5 Solway? 6-year-old mare closed down the middle of the track with Christian Torres.
Navy Seal, impressive. 3rd win now at Oaklawn. And it's a favorite to start off the late pick 5. What looks like a tough sequence today.
Yeah, came in off a significant break, right, too. Hadn't run since September. To win like that on an off track like this was a great training job.
Back to New York. We're going to take a timeout and feature coming up next. 1 turn mile, New York bred first level allowance race, and that's your current favorite. Fast and frisky. Off since May. Dylan Davis will ride. Back at our Sunday coverage here on Fox Sports 1. You're watching America's Day at the Races. So JK and I feel in the mornings trying to catch the subway here. 5 minutes away from the 9th coming up. It's a fast life in New York. That man knows it well. Kendrick Carmouche, always a smile on his face. Riding for Jeremiah Engelhardt here, and this filly has some big races to go back to.
Oh, definitely some big races to go back to. Not the easiest post getting that inside draw, though.
Yeah, but you know what? If I got to pick somebody in the room to help me get out of that situation, he'd be one of them for sure.
You know, we talk about Kendrick, and at times he's gotten a reputation of being like a speed rider, which he's not. He understands position and the importance of position, but he is a terrific gate rider, and that's about having horses balanced, square away in the gate where they're distributing their weight evenly on four legs. That's when they leave the gate quickly.
Just look, he's earned everything he has, and he's had a lot of success and paid all those dues, riding at parks, all those riding titles there, riding all over the country, and now firmly established here in New York. And we've seen him over the last 3, 4, 5 years. He can really do it all.
Yeah, he can come from last. He can go to the lead. He's just a very smart rider, and he's old school. And he worked his way here. He earned his opportunity here in New York.
Post parade coming up. This young man trying to earn his way on the 7 there. Christopher Elliott, son of Steward Elliott, who won the first 2 legs of the Triple Crown on Smarty Jones back in 2004. We've been calling his name quite a few times here early on in his career. Here's Kendrick, Sail with the Wind. Has a little bit of tactical speed she can use.
Yeah, enough that I think if Kendrick wants to try to get that position, he'll be able to.
Rudy Rodriguez barn will send out Moonlit Weekend, the 3.
Yeah, this one is a little bit slower than I'd prefer.
14-1 with Ruben Silvera. Another big price next door with Toscanova Beauty, trained by Linda Dixon.
Yeah, stepping up in class off a good effort last time for 10,000 would have to improve.
This one intriguing at double-digit odds coming in from Finger Lakes. First try on this circuit.
Yeah, has run extremely well at Finger Lakes, 3 for 6. Sometimes I have trouble figuring out that Finger Lakes form, though.
Here's Christopher Elliott on Last Glory.
Yeah, got the win last time, but I thought that the race kind of fell right into his hands.
Favorite, the 8, back to dirt for Sweet Anniversary.
Yeah, another one that's been very good up at Finger Lakes, but did run okay sprinting in Saratoga against a tough group.
There's Dylan Davis, fast and frisky.
Yeah, he's got a tactical horse with some nice speed, drawn outside. He could do what he did last race with Mr. Swagger.
And yet, stress reliever, broke her maiden with Chad Brown. Now she was with Brad Cox, but the races have been pretty slow, haven't they?
And to me, they've been on the slow side. Feels like this horse would have to improve. And I'm in agreement with Jonathan, though. You're going from one good barn to another good barn. It's just sometimes horses respond to a little tweak, a little something different in training.
7-2 right now from that outside post. Let's go down to Maggie.
Yeah, guys, and we have a trio of fillies coming in off respective layoffs. So we'll go in numerical order and begin down on the rail with the 1, Sail with the Wind, who will make her first start for trainer Jeremiah Engelhardt. Now, she looks great, don't get me wrong, and weirdly, I have no notes on her. I don't know why. Maybe it's just coincidence that I haven't been in the paddock for her efforts. But she did come in awfully wound up and on the nervous side. She got a bit washy when she first came in here. Now, once getting out on the racetrack, she has settled nicely into her warm-up, and she looks good on the track. But, you know, when horses come in and they're hot, it just speaks to me that they need a start when they're coming in off of layoffs. So I respect her. She does have the races that make some sense in here, but I will take the wait-and-see approach with her. As we'll move to the outside with number 9, Fast and Frisky. And if you isolate her 2 dirt routes, they're a first and a second. Now, they look a little slower on paper, but they were early on in her 3-year-old year, and there's every reason to believe that this filly could get a bit faster. And I think of the layoff runners, she by far looks the most fit, the most ready for this return to the races for Jorge Abreu. So she took a lot of early money, and I think rightfully so. I do like what I'm seeing physically from Fast and Frisky, and I feel like this is the right spot for her to come back in. Now, number 10, Stress Reliever. You guys were talking about the move to Brad Cox. Well, first after a trainer change off the 6-month-plus layoff on the dirt, Brad Cox is 15 for 38, 39% with a 227 ROI. So the numbers are there. And she's always been kind of a big, solid girl. She was very relaxed, very subdued in the paddock, which I'm okay with. I'd rather them be like that and not expending too much energy prior to going in the gate off of a layoff. But I just feel like you guys said, A, how good is she really? And B, maybe she needs a start. But again, Brad is very good with these types of runners. But I'm going to land with the horse that has the recency, and that's number 8, Sweet Anniversary. She didn't run that badly on the turf, but she does look more like a dirt horse kind of overall. She's kind of a long, lanky, lot of leg to her overall, and she just moves beautifully. You know, she was walking around the paddock like a cat with a big stride to her. And for me, she's just been consistent. She has, you know, those recent races over her main rivals, and I think she's a deserved favorite in here, Greg.
And she seems to just show up. Thank you, Maggie. She'd won 4 or 5 until she ran into Malou, who ran a very good race. She was a distant second to her that day. Then she went on the grass, which I say, we're not worried about that race. She's probably the most reliable in this field, isn't she?
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. And her turf race was good, too. But her dirt races have been consistent and good, and she makes a lot of sense.
8-5. She actually broke her maiden first time. And she has the ability before it. Sprinting, going 5.5 furlongs. She made the lead that day. 86 by her. And it was at Finger Lakes, but it's a big number to earn in your debut.
I don't care, but I don't care where you are. When you win by better than 15 lengths, going 5.5 furlongs.
With a poor start.
To put that kind of separation on a field in a short sprint like that, it speaks to your ability.
And I mean, that's what speed figures are for. You know, you mentioned that the 85 buyer speed figure. Those are made to allow us to understand how fast a horse runs at a different racetrack, at a different configuration, and at a different distance. It's a way to kind of put them all in the same language.
Brother, sister riding against each other in this one. Katie Davis on the 6 Intentious. There she is. Her brother Dylan on one of the main players here, the 9, Fast and Frisky for Jorge Abreu. And there is Stress Reliever off since April. First start in the Brad Cox barn with Manny Franco. Here's the 9th from Aqueduct. Chris Griffin, the call.
And they're off. Good speed from Last Glory, right out towards the front. Intentious in the early mix, too. In the yellow cap comes Moonlit Weekend. They are lined up on the front end. At the rail sail with the wind. Joining them towards the far outside, there comes Sweet Anniversary. The one way at the back early is Tuscanova Beauty. Has already got to be about 15 lengths to trailer. And the leading group is up front. They come out of the chute and at the rail, holding that position to sail with the wind. Right there in the 2-path, there comes Moonlit Weekend. 3 wide, that's going to be Intentious. 4 wide is going to be Last Glory. 5 wide, Sweet Anniversary. 6 wide, Fast and Frisky. And the one tucked right in behind them, that Stress Reliever, might be getting the best journey so far. It's a 5-way battle for the front. 23 seconds flat for the opening quarter mile. At the rail sail with the wind. Moonlit Weekend, 3 wide. There's Intentious still in the middle. With less than a half mile to go, they went 46-1 for a half mile time. The 2 widest were Sweet Anniversary. Fast and Frisky starts to make a move. It's a 5-wide run. It's Fast and Frisky who is coming after the leader. Stress Relievers under a full drive. Last Glory and no move, just far back. That was Tuscanova Beauty. Intentious is in front. Moonlit Weekend is at the rail, and here comes the presence of Fast and Frisky. Fast and Frisky reaches the top of the stretch, is ready to challenge Intentious down towards the inside, has got more. Intentious is going to hug the rail. Here comes Fast and Frisky to run on by. It's Fast and Frisky approaching a final furlong, is now a length and a half in front. Intentious continues to battle on. Sweet Anniversary is making up some mild ground. Fast and Frisky, Dylan Davis there in the lead. Sweet Anniversary is going to try one final time. Fast and Frisky's almost there. Nice weekend for the connections. Fast and Frisky, that's your winner. Fast and Frisky over. Sweet Anniversary, then came Intentious, then a photo. That was Stress Reliever to the outside of Last Glory in 1 minute 39 seconds flat.
Another favorite beat in this pick 6 carryover. Dylan Davis rolling by his sister in the stretch. Katie on Intentious, getting the victory and holding off the late run from the favorite Sweet Anniversary.
Yeah, Dylan got the drop on Sweet Anniversary on the far turn, and Sweet Anniversary had to kind of extricate herself, get to the clear, and started running, even though she didn't change leads. But I think, again, evidence of that out, being drawn towards the outside in these one-turn races. She was strung along a bit wide down the backstretch, but she was always traveling so sweetly, and Dylan set her down, and Might have got a touch late. The favorite was kind of getting to her slightly late, but the race was done.
Yeah, you heard Chris mention the connections that they had the win yesterday with the 12-horse Stone Smuggler in that stake. Basically the exact same trip, different riders. Jose Lezcano yesterday, Dylan Davis today.
And we saw that little one in the winner's circle yesterday as well.
Busy weekend.
And that baby's going to think it's easy.
Going to reside in that winner's circle, at least has been this weekend. 9-8-6. It was very close for fourth. Goes to the 7, a 28-1 shot last glory. Fast and Frisky, though, brings her running shoes today. Wins at 3-1. Be interesting to see. We'll find out shortly here what is on the line going into this nightcap. If we are set up for a pick six carryover, I would think at least a few shots at it, if not all.
Yeah, you know, we've been having a couple of upsets, favorites getting beat, a couple of big prices sprinkled in, and it gives you a lot of time to really handicap after the holiday break, the 27th. Come out here chomping at the bit.
It's tricky because if this is a regular day, 100% it'd be a carryover. But on carryover days, there's a lot more action.
Yeah.
There's a lot bigger chance that it can get hit.
Well, we're going to see the debut coming up of one who may have a whole lot of talent. Her mom, grade 1 winner, $1.2 million in earnings. Mia Mischief, her first foal, set to debut in the 6th at Oaklawn coming up.
They come on for the finish in the Pilgrim Stakes. Annapolis by a head.
It is Annapolis in front. It is Annapolis to win the Coolmore Turf Mile.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
Drain the Clock will win and win by as much as he wants. Drain the Clock will bound home the winner. Drain the Clock, Jockey's Warrior, Drain the Clock by a head.
$120,000. $100,000 to the back.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back with you on our Sunday action of America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by Hillandale at Alapa. We got the nightcap still to come here at Aqueduct. Fast and Frisky, Dylan Davis with the win here at 3-1 for Jorge Abreu in New York Final Furlong Racing Stable.
Yeah, back-to-back wins for Dylan. It's at that outside trip, and it just kind of keeps on coming through, right? Outside posts and these elongated one-turn races, Jonathan, are an advantage.
Absolutely. Dylan's taking it. He took advantage of it here. He took advantage of it with Mr. Swagger in race 8.
So we're going to close things out as you take a look at this Pick 6 carryover with a New York-bred $30,000 maiden claiming race, all for sale for that price. One-turn mile to close it out. And there are several carryover opportunities. But the 4, the 6, the 10, the 12, and amazingly the 13 result in this Pick 6 getting hit.
Absolutely. So, you know, there's still, this is a two-way street. If you're alive, we wish you the best of luck. If you're not alive, there's a good shot we'll have a carryover.
Just be honest.
Well, I mean, you want people to hit, but it's a lot of fun to have a double carryover.
We don't get a lot of them
No.
anymore. Yeah, it would be fun, but we want to see you have success. Root you home, no question. Race 6 coming up. A very interesting race with who we told you about going to break. For Steve Asmussen, homebred for Stone Street Thoroughbreds, Avery's Mischief. This will be the first foal from this one. Millionaire, Grade 1 winner, and a 10-time winner overall, Mia Mischief.
Yeah, with the same connections, right? You had, Ricardo Santana rode the dam for Steve, and Steve trained her, obviously, and now the daughter, and Ricardo gets them out here for Steve. Hasn't been riding a great deal for him, but it's nice to see that their relationship is still there.
I've said it a lot, I'll say it again. It's one of my favorite parts of this game is being able to fall in love with a racehorse, male or female, and then get to watch their offspring run. It brings up memories of all the stuff they used to do, and it's an exciting game that keeps giving year after year after year.
So the debut coming up, Mia Mischief's first foal. Not a bad sire either on the top there by
No.
Curlin. Here's Moto, second time out, Tom Amos.
Absolutely, and this horse can absolutely win this race. Showed a ton of speed last time and ran pretty well first time out.
So here she is for Steve Asmussen.
Yeah, that pedigree we're talking about, Mia Mischief's first foal, but she was a runner.
Peyton's Beauty at 34-1, start number 3.
Yeah, it took money, but did no running in the first 2 starts.
Well, this filly was third behind a filly who was the runner-up in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies.
And she went off the favorite that day. She had already tipped her hand in a training she could run.
She's the 5-2 favorite right now. Here's Barbie's Dream, first-time starter.
Yeah, first-time starter for John Ortiz, who has been proved very good with firsters as other horses as well.
Don Von Hemel, first-timer with Cocktail Humor.
Yeah, it has a couple of siblings that showed a little bit of early speed. We'll need it here today.
Buriana getting chance number 5.
Trained by Wayne Lucas, and is an incredible trainer over the years who still gets on his pony every morning, which I think is crazy.
And there looks like some upside with Spring Dancer. Blinkers go on, start number 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Got a great draw towards the outside with some tactical speed on a racetrack that's listed as muddy. You'd like to think that Spring Dancer with the blinkers on is going to be able to pop away from there and dictate what this pace looks like.
She was third in her debut against a filly who came back who was third in a stakes race in her next start. So that one intriguing outside. But Paulie, big pedigree with the 2 and obviously achieved the 4. Faced a very good one first time out.
Yeah, and I'm kind of leaning on those 2 fillies too. And you made a good point with the 2 horse here. You know, Steve Asmussen is a guy that does not work his horses fast. And she had been working great guns at Ellis Park. Now, he was able to basically slow her down a little bit, I guess, when she got here to Oaklawn Park. He just could not slow her down there. And those are normal works for him. They're still kind of fast. You know, Steve even, I mean, that blowout last time probably out of the gate was just to, you know, give her a little education, some more, you know, experience around the gate. And, you know, 38 and change, just moving around there. So I would think she's going to be very quick. Now, between the 1, 2, and the 4 in here, they are like with, I would say, now the 4 is clicked to the favorite, about $900 more. And, you know, when you look at the 4 in here, Achieve ran against Vaca with the twist. It's been a while ago now, since May, but Mark Cassie's horses have come in here raging with run. He already had 2 winners or 3 winners so far in the last couple days. And I would think Achieve's going to run a nice race. Now, Francisco Arrieta gets aboard. This horse was favorite first time out at about 9-5. And, you know, I think the horse to beat, and that's where I'll land. The 9, Spring Dancer, you just can't leave Randy Morse out. The blinkers go on, and this horse that was sharp out of the gate and kind of got taken back in both starts. I think Jonathan's right. I think today Ramon just pushes the button and tries to go to the front end with the 9 horse in here. And I can't talk without this missing our colleague, you know, Tom Amos, who employs Christian Torres. I don't know if this is Christian Torres money, but Tom's horse is live here in the double. The 1 here, Moto, showed some pretty good speed from a wide gate. Didn't really have a great beginning, but I do think the 9 horses to catch. The 1 should show speed. I think the 4 gets the set up in here. And like I said, I'm just going with the hot barn right now, Gregor. Very interesting race, potentially a future star with this pedigree.
Avery's Mischief, we saw achieve, run good and very credible against multiple Grade 1 placed filly, the runner-up of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies.
Yeah, and she took all the money that day. And Mark Casse won with a second-time starter yesterday, Brodeur, who improved vastly from the first start to the second start for the same connections with DJ Stable.
It's hard to get a better pedigree than this 2-horse.
Yeah.
Really, like an Into Mischief mare who was so accomplished, a Curlin, you're in the right hands. It's tricky, though, because, her pedigree suggests, obviously Curlin will get you anything. Her pedigree suggests that she's going to be the type of horse that's going to win mile and eighth Grade 1 races if she turns out to be what she could turn out to be. But doesn't necessarily mean from the inside she has to win first out going 6 on a sloppy racetrack.
No, sometimes, just getting a good experience is more important. And I'm always struck. It's uncanny to me looking at Curlin, who stands at Hillendale at Alapa. Looks exactly like Man o' War to me. Google Man o' War, pull up photos of Man o' War, and pull up photos of Curlin, and it could be the same exact horse.
Well, they were both pretty good.
Yeah, they're all right.
Pretty legendary. You see, too, and Paul had talked about it with Steve Asmussen, we don't see a lot of blazing fast works from him. We see a couple of bullet gate drills with this filly leading into this debut.
Yeah, I think Paul made a great point with that, because Steve is not a guy who wants his horses to work fast. So when you see fast works, it's because they're doing it the right way. They're talented, and they're taking the rider and not being asked to do it.
One thing I do love, and this is not just with Steve, this is with a lot of different trainers, that last work, when they work 3 furlongs, to me, that screams, this horse is fit enough. I didn't need to do anything more. When they try to sneak in another 5 furlongs, sometimes they're a little bit playing behind. That 3 furlong work, and 38 too, right? Just like jogging around there.
Well, basically you've got them where you want them, and you just want to tease them a little bit. You want them to want to do more.
3-1. A little surprising with that pedigree, but considering you have a filly and Achieve and who she faced and how she ran against that one in the debut, I guess not that surprising. The biggest surprise is probably who's favored right now. Tom Amos's Moto from the rail.
I like this horse. This is when we're talking about all the things that the 2 Avery's Mischief is up against in terms of, maybe she wants longer, maybe she's down on the inside, it's sloppy. There's a lot of things. Moto, we know who she is. She ran extremely well first time out. She's supposed to take another big step forward. She has speed, which is a weapon that you want in a race like this when you're facing a bunch of inexperienced horses. She's down on the inside. She's not going to eat a lot of dirt. I think Moto makes sense as the favorite in here. And it's a nice little race, fun race to watch.
I could see liking her and making a huge case to bet her, but really is the favorite?
I understand your point there on her being favored, but when you look through this field of horses that have actually broke from the gate and run, she is the most accomplished. She ran the best race of all these other horses.
And one thing we know, right, Tom Amos understands the value of speed, and with the inside post and Christian Torres, you can count on Moto, if she breaks well, being on the lead.
5-2, favorite from the rail, start number 2 for the Tom Amos barn. That big pedigree with Avery's Mischief, and then Achieve, second time out for Mark Casse, who has been brilliant with his 2-year-olds this year. Matt Dinnerman with the call.
Mariana coming up. Achieve to post position number 4. Into the outside post, Spring Dancer. Start of the late pick 4 here. We're ready to go. And they're off. Avery's Mischief off slowly from the gate. Spring Dancer on the far outside takes it to him early with Modo from the inside, offensive-minded. Modo strides in front. Spring Dancer pressing on the outside, 3 parts of a length behind. Now a length as Modo has cleared off on the lead. Biriana in the 3rd position, a length and a half to Cocktail Humor. Achieve right behind her now, finds herself between horses as Biriana eases off the speed and runs with the aforementioned pair. Avery's Mischief is 3rd last. Barbie's Dream is 2nd to last, and Peyton's Beauty is at the back of the pack. Around the far turn, Modo Modo cleared off successfully as company once again from Spring Dancer. Ramon Vasquez gets to work on her, and she moves up level with Modo with 5/16 to go. Gap of 3 to Cocktail Humor in an all-out drive. Biriana is next in the field, and the others have got to get going. Achieve between them trying to run on, so is Avery's Mischief. Down the lane, it's Modo still in front, going strong. Spring Dancer now a length and a quarter behind as Modo opens up the lead. Spring Dancer still trying second. It's Modo under the left-handed encouragement with a 2-length lead. Spring Dancer still trying, but Modo is pulling away, and it's going to be Modo to break the maiden. Modo, the gray filly, comes home 2 in front. Second home Spring Dancer, third Biriana, and then Avery's Mischief.
Oh, you got to think when Tom Amos sees particularly a filly win with these silks on, a huge smile comes across his face. Same silks worn by Serengeti Empress, who he won the Kentucky Oaks with, and now this filly showing some real ability here in start number 2.
Well, good speed from the inside, and Christian Torres allowed her to get into her rhythm, and a nice win for Joel Politi, owner of Serengeti Empress, for Tom Amos.
Yeah, I mean, she was impressive here. She broke well. She made the front. Look, when you're looking at these races with young horses, there's nothing that can compare to breaking well and having speed, and this is exactly what she did. She broke well.
First-time starter did not.
Exactly, 100%. Made the difference. The first-time starter ran extremely well. Avery's Mischief ran well considering the circumstance. She's going to be a nice horse, and she'll go on to do some pretty nice things, I'd imagine. But on a day like this, when Modo can make the front, like that experience just goes way too long in races like this with lightly raced horses.
Yeah, that daughter out of Mia Mischief, breaking dead last, tough beginning, but she still has a big future potentially in front
Well,
of her.
she showed run. I mean, she made up a lot of ground in the middle of the race. She took a lot of kickback. She came wide, and then she flattened out a touch late, which you would expect. I think she ran extremely well on debut for that start, but Modo, speed from the inside, and from a trainer who understands the value of speed.
Back to New York. We'll see how this pick 6 plays out. Final race on this Sunday card from Aqueduct. And that right now, the current favorite, Burn Rubber. Kendrick Carmouche knows how to do just that. He'll ride for Linda Rice, someone who showed speed last start. Can he finish? Nightcap still ahead on this Pick 6 carryover Sunday here in South Ozone Park, New York. Watching America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 1. And a one-turn mile, all for sale for $30,000 in this race, trying to get that first win of their careers. We showed you this one going to break. Burn Rubber, Kendrick Carmouche, Linda Rice, still favored at 2-1.
And another horse drawn towards the outside in the one-turn mile. You've got one horse outside of him in Katani. Kendrick Carmouche for the horse with natural speed and improved vastly from the first start to the second start with the drop in class.
And I had brought up, I thought interesting, the 13 covered in this Pick 6. That horse did make a bit of a move in the debut and the only dirt start of his career. It's been all turf since then, the next 4 times out.
Yeah, but the thing is the turf figures that they earned are very competitive with this group. And so sometimes you find the right group that turf form can translate. And it's that you have to love the dirt. You just got to like the dirt enough to be better than horses that you're technically better than, but just on a different surface.
We'll see what Kendrick does here with Burn Rubber, who was forward last time out, going a mile and then backed up to third. This will be start number 3 as we get set for our post parade. We'll start with Neptune Beach, breaks from post 4.
Yeah, down, it will drawn towards the middle of the field, does not have a lot of early speed.
Big Ego, post 2 for the 1, post 4 for the 1A. Katie Davis on that 1A. Here is the 4. Lose Redemption, gets the rail blinkers off.
And both races were okay on the dirt. Was well beaten last time, but Dave Duggan's going well.
Lane Luzzy for Gary Siaka, 0 for 12 on Sweet Tone.
Yeah, another one doesn't have a lot of early speed in the way this racetrack's been playing. I think you want to try to be as close as possible.
Manny Franco, Senegal.
Nice effort last time against Burn Rubber, although Burn Rubber had a compromised beginning.
2 sprints stretching out for Maximus Monster.
Yeah, didn't do much running last time. Hasn't done much running in the career.
And Landauer, third behind major player Tiz the Prince last start.
Yeah, showed some life and finished okay last time.
Triple word score, 0 for 14.
Yeah, 0 for 14. You're starting to wonder if this one ever wants to win.
And here's Tiz the Prince, was second in that effort, just ahead of Landauer last start.
At a very short price, got an impossible trip. This horse was strung out wide every step of the way. I think this horse is a major player.
Albedo gets back on dirt.
Yeah, hasn't run since the end of October. Does have a couple of races that put this one in the mix. We'll need to take a little step forward, though.
There's Kendrick Carmouche there in the background, blue cap, Burn Rubber.
It ran extremely well after a bit of a compromised beginning and showed good speed despite that start.
And Katani, career start number 6, but back on dirt for the first time since the debut.
Yeah, has some nice numbers on the turf, but is going to have to show up here and at least tolerate the dirt to be competitive.
Well, Maggie, we're seeing that patented Kendrick Carmouche warm-up. What are you seeing with Burn Rubber?
Just the fact that in 3 career starts now, he's continued to progress physically. And it's so typical of Linda Rice horses to kind of race into fitness. She generally doesn't have them cranked up and ready to win, per se, at first asking. And Burn Rubber is just another example of that. I think this is the fittest, the strongest that he's looked. He's really mentally kind of got it all together now. And there's no doubt about it. For me, he is the horse to beat. But I am going to take a horse that he finished just behind, and I get it because there is more upside with Burn Rubber versus Senegal in here, but I do like Senegal. I've been chasing him a little bit here. He was probably just second best behind Burning Beauty, and that Burning Beauty, for whatever reason, he really turned it on that day, and he did come from last where these two were up front kind of contesting things, and Senegal is just that kind of horse that I'm always going to be attracted to physically because he's big, he's rangy, and he's robust looking. So I'm going to try him one more time here at what is a better price too, 7-2 versus the 5-2 currently. Number 10 does get the turn back. That is Tiz the Prince. Now I kind of wrote that race off because I didn't want anybody that was being beaten by Jansen, who at that point felt like a professional maiden. But Tiz the Prince, I do like the fact that he's turning back. As Mick said, had the wide trip last time. And he's a horse that looks happy, looks healthy. This is very typical of Dave Duggan horses, but that fact that he's kind of filled out a bit, and now he has that built-in stamina from turning back from the 2-turn 9 furlongs in here. So we'll see. I do feel as though there is a little bit of upside with Tis the Prince, but it feels like the public has the right 3 favorites, Greg. I really didn't see anybody else outside of them.
All right. Thank you, Maggie. What did you think? There's some other ways to go in here for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go with the horse to the outside, the 13. I'm none of these horses, the horses that are taking money, make me feel warm and fuzzy. The outside horse does have some, has a couple of seconds, has some nice runs on the turf. I know this is probably a turf horse, but I'm just hoping that he's just a good enough dirt horse to beat this group.
And what about the 4, Lose Redemption? At least making an equipment change has shown at least a little ability.
Yeah, no, I thought 2 starts back going 6.5 was a step forward, was well beaten last time, but it takes the blinkers off. Dave Duggan's a very thoughtful trainer, right? He's very cerebral, and he's always trying to find that little extra that he can get from a horse. Lose Redemption's a player. Don't like the post. I just really like the 10, Tis the Prince, because had absolutely no chance the way the race ran last time, strung wide every step of the way, going 2 turns. And Lose Redemption, by the way, the lone filly, 3-year-old filly in this group.
Here she is. Blinkers coming off. Romero Mirage had that heart-dropping trip the other day on Mama's Gold, when the horse jumped a piece of debris on the racetrack when the race was wrapped up, had it won, and then had to really do some work to stay on the horse.
It was amazing. He got back in the middle of that horse. Fear's a great motivator, but his athletic prowess saved him there. And I was teasing Romero. I was down at the Jocks room the next day and said, man, not going to make it in any Wild West shows. Stop that nonsense.
Left leg came completely out and over onto the right side of the horse in the stretch, but able to get settled back and finish.
Remarkable recovery.
It was something else. Nightcap here on a pick 6 carryover. Here in this 10th at Aqueduct. Favorite, the 12, Burn Rubber. Kendrick Carmouche, there he is in that blue cap for Linda Rice. Third opportunity to get a maiden victory. Katani there in the background, blue silks as well. Back on dirt for the first time since the debut. Let's go to Chris Griffin to close out this card.
2 out, Burn Rubber. Burn Rubber to the outside, and Katani. Katani goes in. All set. And they're off. Trouble at the start there. That was Neptune Beach that got in a tangle, and also stumbling was Big Ego, and caught up in that mix was Sweet Tone, who'll be the early trailer. Maximus Monster with the speed. It's Maximus Monster right out towards the front. Maximus Monster is up by a half length. Senegal towards the inside is ready to challenge. And now these two hook up on the backstretch, and they are head and head. Just off of them comes Burn Rubber, who's now in the 3 path. Into the outside of that rival comes Katani. At the rail, Lose Redemption has moved on through, has taken 5th. And between horses in 6th, that's going to be triple word Score. And behind them is Landauer. Then on the far outside in the yellow cap is Albedo. The 3 towards the back is Tis the Prince with the 2 trailers. Big Ego and Neptune Beach, and actually one way back there is Sweet Tone after that start. They get set to approach, a half mile left to go. Senegal is in front. Maximus Monster ranging up back on the outside, and here comes Lose Redemption with a rail skimming ride, is in 3rd, has momentum, but just has to wait for room. Here is at the rail, and Katani, and also up on the outside there comes Burn Rubber. They're going to get the jump as the long shot was backing up, and now Lose Redemption has got the night trip, and Lose Redemption is going to the outside here of Senegal. Senegal is going to try to close the deal at the top of the stretch, and Senegal's got plenty when asked the question so far. Senegal, Lose Redemption is in full pursuit down the center of the racetrack. Burn Rubber's got to make up more ground with Katani. It is all Senegal inside this final furlong, and Senegal, Manny Franco are now 4 lengths in front inside the final 16th. It's going to be all Senegal to win this one easily. Senegal wins it over the filly. There's Lose Redemption. Then came a late run from way out of it, Albedo and Burn Rubber in 1 minute 36 and 4.
Senegal closing things out here at Aqueduct on this Sunday card. Manny Franco, Jeremiah Engelhardt, and this pick 6 gets hit.
Yeah, kind of a rocky beginning for the 1A and the 5 horses. 3 and 4 out. Both stumbled almost simultaneously, and then they ran into each other, and just a really, really tough start for those two. Basically eliminated any chance they might have had, but the winner was best. Senegal. Lower level horses, put them on the lead, they get brave, and Manny Franco did the right thing there. How about the effort from the runner-up, though? Nice effort from the filly, Lose Redemption. Romero Mirage got the save ground. She came out and came up second best.
3-1 to close it out. 6-4-11, photo for 4th. And if you put this pick 6 together, congratulations, over $63,000 coming your way.
Wow. Nothing wrong with that.
Nice. Merry Christmas.
With a favorite to start it, I believe a second choice, back in the last race, but very, very difficult all around that.
Yeah, listen, great handicap, congratulations, and absolutely a Merry Christmas, right?
Yeah, that was a tough one to get to. Definitely a tough one to get to.
And it's the 12 horse winds up getting 4th in here, but Senegal, your winner, 6-4-11-12. Manny Franco again, Jeremiah Engelhardt. To close things out here in New York, a lot more still to come from Oaklawn. We're going to look back at yesterday's stakes winner. Sacrosanct just keeps impressing, winning stake after stake after stake for Brad Cox. And how about Stone Smuggler impressing in the 5th Avenue?
The champion 2-year-old. One of 4 champion 2-year-olds in his immediate family. Essential quality at 2. Undefeated.
Essential quality, though, has opened up by 5.
Devastating. His own first 2-year-olds race in 2025. If they're anything like him and you've got a mare in foal, just imagine.
These New York bred foals represent many sires. War Dancer, Salamini, Honest Mischief, Central Banker. But they all have one thing in common. Starting in 2026, they'll be running for the same purse money as Open Company 2-year-olds at NYRA tracks. That's nearly 20% more than they run for now. Learn more about it at nybreds.com.
Twirling Candy, proving Lane's End's stallion-making tradition. Twirling Candy has seen success on the track and in the sales ring, siring multiple Grade 1 winners and millionaires including Exalted, Ice Cream U-Screen, AG Bullet, and Walkathon, and reaching 7-figure yearling and 2-year-old sales. Twirling Candy, a leader of his generation.
Enhance your handicapping with AI Fast Facts, exclusively on NYRA Bets. Open your NYRA Bets app, click View Runner Details, and a stat-driven fact will appear for all U.S. thoroughbred racehorses. Download the NYRA Bets app to start using Fast Facts today.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Back with you on our Sunday coverage on America's Day at the Races. More coming up, including the feature still ahead from Oaklawn Park. We just saw Moto win back in the 6th for Tom Amis. Looks like a young filly with a pretty bright future ahead of her as we move on to race 7. 6 furlong sprint here, $20,000 starter allowance group. And here is Golden Luna coming off a big effort at Prairie Meadows back in late September.
Yeah, has a bunch of speed drawn down on the inside. Maybe try to duplicate what we just saw out of Tom Amos' second-time starter Moto.
7-2, Eternally Grateful.
Yeah, a couple good races in off-going at Oaklawn Park. 4 wins, 9 seconds. That's troubling to me.
Nice appearance. So here's Lunar Module, Martin Schwann.
You're certainly a player coming off the last race. That was a big effort. A bit tougher maybe today, but a good effort last time.
Favorite here with the white blinkers on Haya.
Yeah. Hi-ya. This horse, a couple starts back, did show some speed. We'll probably need to do the same thing here.
Christian Torres on It's My House coming in from the West Coast, blinkers off.
Yeah, turning back in distance after showing speed, going longer. I elevate anything with Christian Torres aboard.
Her best effort from this one last start, but it came at Zia Park.
I mean, this horse is a horse with real speed, right? Running in mixed quarter horse races and showing speed as well.
And then Vale outside, a 3-time winner at 12-1.
Vale's got a little bit of speed, too. I mean, this thing could really, really cook up. But we've seen it earlier today. We've seen it since racing's been around. Sometimes when it looks like there's a lot of speed, still the speed of the speed can wire a group.
And I'll get it right this time, JK, as we go to Paulie. Hi-ya! What do you think with this 5-2 shot?
I will tell you this. The barn has been going well with Matt Williams' barn. He's had 5 starters so far. The speed has had a couple wins and a second-place finish as well. So I can understand. But Jonathan makes a great point. There's so much pace in this race. Who's the horses that are going to come from kind of off the pace? And you kind of focus on the 2 and 4. But you know, sometimes the pace doesn't materialize. So, you know, when I looked at the 5, Hi-ya, is a horse that probably needs the lead to win. And can the horse get the lead from a horse called, like the horse, like, you know, Mig was saying, Trump? You know, when you look at Trump, here's a horse that was at Turf Paradise. I get it. Turf Paradise can be a highway, but this horse ran 6.5 furlongs in 1:14. Then he ran in a quarter horse. Those things can be mixed with quarter horses. And then his last race, he showed some really good speed. Now, coming in from New Mexico, obviously from Sunray Park and Zia is a little bit different, obviously, but I would think the speed is going to play here. It's just a matter of what's going to happen because the 1 Golden Luna's got a lot of speed. So it really does set up for a horse like the 4 Lunar Module. But I landed on the 6. It's in my house. It's my house, excuse me. Horse has been going long out in California. Takes the blinkers off. I think if you go back and look at some of his races way back when he sprinted, they tower over this field. So I'm going to land on the 6 in here. Sean Williams had a horse launch from way out of it last week. I think this horse can get the pace to run into. And cutting back a distance, I think, is going to be the key here, Greg.
Interesting. A horse coming in for the West Coast who's been forward going longer, but, you know, has shown the ability to be forward sprinting on the West Coast. And we know West Coast speed is probably the quickest speed there is in this game. Blinkers come off. Where's Christian Torres going to put this horse?
I think he's going to be just off the pace. I think he'll find himself in a stalking spot. Look at the fractions of the races he's coming out of, going 2 turn miles at Del Mar, 22 flat, 45-3. Start before 22-2, 45-4. This horse has speed. I think the turn back's going to make this horse more effective.
I'm going to go with the 4 in here, Lunar Module. I think this race is going to cook up a little bit, and I think this horse can kind of come from out of it. I mean, it's one of those situations where you have speed on the rail, speed on the outside, and speed in the middle. And I think when you can sometimes separate it like that, and you know, you got to go from the inside. You kind of have to go from the outside. And if you're in the middle, what are you going to do? Take back and eat a bunch of dirt. You kind of have to go, too. It just feels like they're going to run early in here. I'm going to take the 4 Lunar Module to pick up the pieces.
He's coming off, and it's not a race that's come out of nowhere. He's run up before, but a big jump-up effort. But we've seen it from him in the past, fairly recently as well. He's been pretty consistent. 8 of his 18 starts, he's been first or second. 6-1 right now on the horse on your screen, who JK likes, Lunar Module. Does own a victory and a runner-up finish on and off track. But 5-2 favoritism remains with Hi-ya, the 5-time winner, who is.
I think he can do better than that.
Done some traveling, this horse. JK does it best. I'll leave it to him.
Hi-ya!
Yeah, it's and here's the thing about Hi-ya too that's a little bit interesting is 3 back is one of 2 performances you see in the past performances where they wired the field. I'm not certain that he has to absolutely go. He's in a weird spot in between, and some of his best races have been on the front end. But I would imagine there's a small chance that Ramon Vasquez might try to rate him too.
His wins, though, he's on the lead.
I know, I agree. But he opens up. He's too clear at the top of the stretch. There's 0% chance he's going to be too clear at the top of the stretch here. He's going to have to deal with someone. Now, he might put them away, but at the top of the stretch, they're going to be connected to him at least for a second. Then he's going to have to take on some late runners as well.
And Meg, you talked about how quick the 8 Trumped is. I mean, this horse had the lead going 5.5 furlongs. Zia's been in a quarter horse race. He was right there as well. He's got serious speed.
When you see horses come out of those mixed breed races, thoroughbreds and quarter horses together, and they show good speed, basically going 1,000 yards was the race, 1,000 yards. They have true speed. Those horses are fast. I'd be shocked if this horse didn't show speed.
Did you win? Have you won a race on a quarter horse?
My first win of my life was on a quarter horse, if you must know.
This is for everyone at home, just so you know. We've just been grilling Mig all day on his accomplishments, and it's hard to find something he hasn't done.
I was 12 years old. It was a quarter horse match race. The horse's name was Raider Man, trained by Dennis Brida, and beat a horse named Goldie Music McHugh with a jock on it from Louisiana named Danny Ballou. And that's why they took Raider Man with the string of horses to, there was a quarter horse meet in Commonwealth, Kentucky then. And that was Dennis's first win there because they left Goldie Music McHugh home because Raider Man beat her.
I just don't understand the incredible recall that you have, not just for your wins, and you're talking about even riders you lined up with and everything. You remember pretty much all the losses, too, and who was in those races. It is amazing.
No, the amazing part is that you've been dumped on your head a bunch of times.
Way too many times.
And still have that memory.
I couldn't tell you what I had for breakfast.
It's only so much space.
Yeah. No, those are landmark things. Those were, you're a young kid and you get to ride in a match race against a professional jockey, and of course it's going to stand out. And I even have the picture on my phone of the win picture of it.
Was there one race that you remember and you said, that's the race that made me want to do what I want to do?
Well, it was coming to see the toboggan handicap with my father when I was a kid. I saw George Velasquez win it on Due Diligence and riding the train. I grew up 8 miles from here, telling my father that I was going to be a jockey and I was going to win the toboggan handicap. I can still see that like a video in my mind.
3-1 favorite in this 7th at Oaklawn. Hiya. Ramon Vasquez. See what kind of pace we get. And one that could have a pretty hot pace up front. Matt Dinnerman, the call.
We're ready to go. And let off. Golden Luna on the inside bounced away nicely, is prominent in the early stages. Haya just clipped heels there, had to take up sharply. A number of them did too. Eternally Grateful was in tight. Lunar Module and It's My House, they didn't have a good go either. They didn't get the worst of it, but those 4 rivals all had to take up. We come back to the lead, and Trump has taken over the lead. Trump gets towards the rail and accelerates, leads a length and a half from Golden Luna, who will have to track from second. Veil on the outside, level with him going into the turn. There's a gap of 4 lengths back to Haya with Eternally Grateful, and one's being eased up. It's My House, number 6, has been pulled up out of the race as they round the far turn. Trump, 5/16 to go. A length leader here. Veil second, getting a little bit closer, approaching the top of the lane. Golden Luna is backing away now. On the outside, Haya is making a run. On the grandstand side is moving up nicely. Haya has 3 lengths to gain on Trump, who's still in front. On the outside, Veil's right up alongside to engage. Up the inside, Eternally Grateful is trying to put in a late bid here. Veil outside of Trump, who's digging in on the front end. It's Trump, the leader a length here from Veil in second, still trying these two head-and-head. Veil lunging late, Trump still in front. Trump got it. I believe it was Trump who held off Veil in the shadow of the wire.
The rocket ship, Trumped, able to just hold on and get this win. That's 3 in a row now.
Horse is fast, man. And they show that kind of speed in mixed breed races like that, going 1,000 yards. You can count on them having speed. And he was very game, though, huh? I mean, he took a lot of heat the last 3/16 of a mile from the 9 Veil and just kept digging in. This was a bigly effort from Trump.
One of the first things I learned in racing was that pace makes the race. And the tricky part about that is as I've been around this game, sometimes that's completely untrue. And the speed of the speed wins situations like this. And it's hard to predict when it's going to happen, and it's hard to know if it's going to happen. But it's a thing that definitely happens. Pace makes the race most of the time.
Well, we talked about it earlier, right? If you're going fast, the horses chasing you are having to go fast as well, chasing you, and you may be getting tired, but you're going to starch them a bit as well.
Trump the win, 9-2. Harry Hernandez on the speedster for Todd Fincher. Back to New York. Manny Franco closes things out. Senegal for Jeremiah Engelhardt, owned by Susan Moulton. And 7th time out, a winning effort. Lose Redemption, Albedo, a couple of prices underneath.
Yeah, Lose Redemption looked like she was the main danger on the far turn. Came up second best to Senegal and a big price to round out your try with Albedo.
$63,710. That's what a day at the races can bring you. Hard to say you're going to go to any other sporting event and come back with that kind of money in your pocket.
No, and I'll tell you what, though, when I think about that, that's $63,710. There's nothing better than hitting refresh in your Naira Bets account.
That's my favorite thing.
When it goes from 0 to 63,000.
Man, I don't know that feeling. I want to know that feeling.
That you can't wait to hit that button.
Well, there's also the anxious moments before you're hitting refresh. It goes official. You hit refresh. It's not fully there yet. You say, please tell me I didn't miss right.
Did I bet this right?
Real quick, we have an inquiry and objection at Oaklawn, so we'll get back to that in a moment. So we'll keep you posted. But well done if you put this together. This was a incredibly hard one to come up with in the Pick Six. So back at Oaklawn, as you see, this is what the stewards are looking at.
Yeah, we kind of got 4 screens here. I'm going to keep an eye on the head-on to see exactly what happened, because it did appear like the 4-horse did clip heels between horses.
Tough to tell from where we have our monitors.
Oh.
Well, the outside horses did come over and initiate contact, and it made a chain reaction, and those horses in the middle got jammed. You know, for old-timers like me, that's cutting off the jam in roller derby.
Now the big question is typically in this country, they don't do much about those types of things at the start.
The thing is, the difference with this one, Jonathan, is that that's usually the first, second, third, fourth jump. This is a good 70 yards out of the gate, where riders should have gained full control of their horses by this point. So this could be a little bit of a different way of adjudicating it, because, look, they're almost to the end of the chute. Now, I mean, this is 20 strides from the gate at this point, and now this is when the contact begins. And it's just a lot of horses being jammed up in the same spot.
It looked like it was trumped, wasn't it? Your winner coming in?
It might have been forced over by the 9, though.
Too, yeah.
Vale kind of leaned into him, and I think kind of set him in that direction.
The tricky part is they really only need one angle, and it's the Steward's 4 angle that we're seeing on the bottom right of your screen. And I wish they would zoom in on that. We could see it a little bit better. I'm sure they're able to do that, but
yeah, I mean, it is a little distant for us, but from what we can decipher, I feel like it was the 9-horse Vale that put that pressure on the 8 Trump.
We'll get another look at it here, so keep your eyes on the outside 2 runners. The 9 Vale, your eventual winner, the 8 to the inside there, trumped, who does come in, but does he get pushed in by the 9?
Yeah, now, again, they've gone far enough where every rider should have gained control. Yeah, I mean, it appears to me that the 9 bounced the 8 like trumped into the crowd, you know, kind of jammed them up.
Yeah, for a second there, I'm sure they'll look at it again. I feel like this is going to take a little bit. We're going to see this a couple times. It felt like the 8 almost started to lean in to the 9 for a second. The 9 came back over, but then the 8's hind end came out from under him, where it really seemed to kind of start the whole situation.
Yeah, and once they get to bouncing, I mean, you're talking about 1,000-pound animals, they lose control of themselves. They're just trying to keep their feet at that point. But in my opinion, I felt like the 9 was the one that initiated the original contact.
Yeah, let's get Paul's take on it here. 8-9-4-2, but this in question right now, Paulie.
Yeah, it's in question. It definitely is. But, you know, talking to Harry Hernandez, he doesn't understand why it's up there. He thought the 9 was the one that caused him to go sideways. He didn't understand why they had both horses up. I understand they put up the inquiry and the objection because 2 horses, the 5 and the 6 and the 4, all got pinched out of there. But Harry said, my horse got knocked sideways, and he's literally kind of going a little bit over the top right now. He's taken off his helmet. He's been throwing it down. Harry Hernandez is not happy right now.
Well, you got to, riders involved with this, and Mig will explain it more, but you got to make your case to the stewards, and probably best to keep your cool as you do that.
Listen, it's very difficult, and I know because I've been in that situation, and it's a horrible feeling when you've won a race and then your number's blinking, particularly when you feel like someone else caused the problem to begin with. But you have to be able to present your case in a clear, intelligent manner, and when you lose your composure, you're not going to lay out your case as well as you probably should.
This reminds me of a story that you told on my podcast, but then that your son also told this week on my podcast about a time that you got DQ'd.
Yeah, well,
took it out on the phone.
It wasn't one of my finer moments, but it was one of the most horrible DQs you'll ever see. It was in Saratoga, and I went back to the room after they took Doris down, and I called the stewards up on the steward's phone and used some very strong language, and they said, "You can't talk to us like that," and I just blanking did, and then I ripped the phone out of the wall.
I'm guessing that didn't go in your favor.
No, so the next day we had a hearing, and they wanted to suspend me 15 days and fine me $10,000. And I went off again, and Jerry Bailey and Aaron Greider were my lawyers in this. So they took the 9 down. And I think they got the call right. It appeared to me that the 9 was the one that created
second
the
place
contact.
finisher that looked like initiated that contact has been taken down. So now 8-4-2-1.
There's some John going on now between riders,
Wow.
and this is heated, and it's a very unusual circumstance where you're going back to the same locker room with your competitors. And I think if you sent the New York Rangers and the Philadelphia Flyers back to the same locker room.
Yeah, little John right there. So the second place finisher, DQ'd, placed out of the money. Now 8-4-2-1. Paul, what do you got for us?
And I'll tell you what, Christian Torres was not happy. Words were being exchanged, and then Harry Hernandez came right back on him. Harry's been heated up since the beginning, but Christian was not happy with that result. He thought it was he caused more of the problem. And then, like Mig said, I don't know how you guys do it, Mig, and how you guys go into the same locker room after something like that happens. When a guy struck out with the bases loaded, you feel bad for him. And by the way, Big, I remember my first hit, but I don't remember my 1,000th.
You see? My man Paul, he got my back, man. He got my back.
You've had situations like this where you've had issues on a racetrack during the running of a race. What happens when you go back into that locker room?
Well, certainly it'll be heated, and voices will be raised, and potentially there'll be fisticuffs. And one thing about it, you're all in the same weight category. You're talking about somewhere between 112 and 120 pound guys, so you're not fighting out of your league. And the way it works in the room is they'll let 2 guys get at each other until somebody's getting clearly the best or the worst of it, and then they'll pull you apart. But it's an old adage. If you let 2 old dogs chew on each other for a little while, they'll figure out how to get along. If you keep them away from each other, they'll always want to get at each other.
Change made. Vail taken down under Walter De La Cruz. And New Order finish 8-4-2-1, so Trump's victory stands. $11.40 for the win in that 7th race. We're going to take a timeout. When we return, we'll take a look back to Saturday and the feature in the Mistletoe, Corning Stone. Kenny McPeak, Julian Leperoux coming up with a big performance. Good to have you with us on our Sunday coverage on Fox Sports 1. You're watching America's Day at the Races, with more to come from out in Hot Springs on a track that's been muddy all afternoon long. We just had a little drama, things getting heated with a DQ runner who wound up second in the 7th race, taken down and placed out of the money.
Yeah, it was absolutely getting heated. We could see it for ourselves. Paul was right there listening to it. And listen, as a rider, you get put in a precarious position. It's dangerous. You're talking about your life, and of course you're going to get hot. And when another rider feels like they were wronged, they're going to have something to say about it. And again, it's a unique situation. You're going back to the same locker room with the guys you're competing with. It's a very unusual situation.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I can also imagine that the way the world has changed, that the rooms that you went back to in the 80s and the 90s are not the same rooms.
A little rougher probably back then.
I would imagine it's changed a bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, honestly, I think, as the purses have gotten higher and higher, who wants to take a chance of breaking a hand on someone's head and losing out on $130,000 allowance races? I mean, you got to be pretty smart about that, but sometimes your emotions get the best of you. You're heated. And just like, a family, you get along better with some people than you do others. Sometimes you just don't like somebody or they don't like you, and that's going to lend itself to some more animosity there as well. Like I said, usually guys figure out how to get along because you're sharing that space and you spend so much time in there with them.
And I know you didn't get to finish your story, but briefly, you did get to the part where you threw the phone through the window.
Yeah. So they wanted to give me a 15-day suspension and $10,000 fine. Jerry Bailey and Aaron Greider were two terrific lawyers. They were the guild representatives. I went off on the stewards again. They sent me out of the room, came back in. All right, 7 days and a $5,000 fine. I went off again, out of the room, came back in. We got it. We pled it down to $2,500 fine. I had to pay for the phone in the window. So, again, wasn't one of my better days.
Yeah.
Still was a horrible disqualification. I'll stand by that.
I've not seen this side of Mig. He's become a calmer, gentler version of himself.
I get to eat now.
Yeah.
You live the way a rider has to live, and you're hungry all the time, and you're competitive. I'm not that competitive anymore. Where you live as a jockey, you live life looking through a keyhole. That's your vision, and my vision's a bit broader now, and I'm kinder and gentler.
We like the softer, sweeter version.
Yeah,
of
you
I'm a grandfather now. I mean, come on.
He's like a teddy bear now. We still got more coming up. We'll get to race 8 in a moment. Stakes action as well. From here in New York yesterday, New York Stallion Series start with a Great White Way and Sacrosanct make it 3 stakes wins in a row for this 2-year-old for Brad Cox.
This was a big effort. He put away Bold Fact. He ran hard every step of the way. And then he faces a fresh challenge, and it would have been, understandable if he wound up getting beat. And he actually is passed here by a head, and he fights back and he gets it done. This showed a lot of courage, Jonathan.
Yeah, I mean, he'd been winning by 10 and 12 open lengths in a very impressive fashion, but this impressed me more than anything. Like you mentioned, Mig, he put away the other speed, who's finishing out the back right now, and held off this oncoming closer. I thought this was very impressive.
Matches up an 83 Beyer speed figure, which he had earned in that Sleepy Hollow win, but now 4 wins, 6 furlongs, 7 furlongs. Mile cuts back to 7, and this time, showing some grit, some determination, some heart down the stretch.
A lot of heart. And that's the one thing you never know about a horse until they're put in a position where they have to do it, right? They have ability. They've shown themselves in the morning, but now they're under that kind of pressure. Are they going to stand up to it? That's when they're going to show their heart, their character. I think he also got a little bit lucky that soon-to-be King got completely sawed off in the midst of a pretty bold rally on the inside.
Yeah, huge run up the fence and got shut off.
Does a horse like this take a couple more shots in the New York Bred Stakes as a 3-year-old and then find out maybe Gotham time, dip your toe in a little bit when you're in that situation? Or
Well, I think he's earned his right to try to see if he's a horse that's worthy of being on the Derby Trail and find out how far he actually wants to go. I mean, he's 4 for 4. He's shown grit, determination, and brilliance. So those are pretty key things to me right there. And I don't know, timing-wise, probably doesn't work out for the first one, January 1st, but the second one, or maybe by the Gotham, I could see him taking a shot.
Meanwhile, Fifth Avenue division for the ladies. 2-year-old fillies here, and it's Stone Smuggler. She's now won 2 of her last 3, and she gets a stakes win for Jorge Abreu and Jose Lezcano.
Yeah, she broke from the outside, and Jose took advantage of that post by kind of sitting outside of the other speed. He never got stopped. He did lose ground. He never got stopped. And right here, she had a legit opponent run at her, but she was not going to let this horse pass her. She wasn't going to let any of these horses pass her. I think they could have went around again, and she probably would have still been right there.
Yeah, it was a big effort. And, we talked about it before the race and after analyzing it, how that outside position just benefited her so much because she wasn't under the kind of pressure that you would expect, being inside and having to hold your position. Jose Lezcano, once again, he's a rider's rider, complete pro, shows up every day, does his job, no drama. He doesn't pound his chest. He just shows up and goes to work.
Love to see him, get wins like this on quality horses. Consummate pro.
There's that baby again.
A lot of time in that winner's circle, this weekend.
That baby now is the good luck charm. That baby's not going to miss many races.
Take her out of school and everything.
He'll be spending a lot of time at the racetrack. Meanwhile, feature yesterday, that was a mistletoe at Oaklawn. Paulie Corningstone coming up big for Kenny McPeak.
Yeah, he really did. She really did, excuse me. And, it was a good call by Jonathan. It's a horse that I think is better when he gets on a wet racetrack. And when I interviewed Ray Briner after the race, he basically said that. He said, listen, she likes it a little bit more wet on the racetrack. And the race was over about right here. It was kind of over when she made that big move. They went pretty fast up front. And, now you worry, is Tax just the same filly that she was and she hasn't progressed, or is she just what she was? Did she beat a kind of a weak black-eyed Susan Field? But this is an Indiana bred that's now over $600,000 in earning, and she's only 4, Greg, so she's got a lot of upside. Obviously she loves a sloppy racetrack. Mig, I got a story for you. In 1998 I got called up to the big leagues. I went 4 for 11 with 2 home runs. They sent me down. There was an auxiliary clubhouse at Dodger Stadium. Let's just put it this way. I remodeled it a little bit, and after they sent me down, I got called back up about a month later, and next thing you know, $20,000 got taken out of my check. It happens. I'm looking into puppies now.
Wow.
That's a man who was showed quite a bit of motion on the diamond.
If anybody hasn't, and I go down this rabbit hole a lot because Paul's a friend, put his name in the search engine in YouTube, and you want to see some highlight reel stuff and the intensity of a competitor. He was all fire, grit, determination. There's one where he makes this catch sliding into the dugout. How he can keep his focus while he was crashing into the dugout. Fabulous ball player, and just tremendous.
We got 2 guys who are in the Intensity Hall of Fame.
Our names end in a vowel. It's passion, man.
We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. He's unofficially known as the mayor of Hot Springs. The man on the left there he is. Trainer Ron Moquett. We'll have more on his story when we come back.
Breed to pure California speed as Legacy Ranch welcomes Forbidden Kingdom.
It's Forbidden Kingdom, dominant in the San Vicente.
This blazing fast son of American Pharaoh went wire to wire in every one of his victories.
What a performance from Forbidden Kingdom in the San Felipe.
Posting 3 Grade 2 wins on dirt and turf.
Forbidden Kingdom, resolute, turns away a big bit.
Breed to the speed of California speed. Forbidden Kingdom, now standing at Legacy Ranch.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
Say hello to Move. It's a 1-horse race, very professional and very fast. Move, rolling home by 4 in fine style.
Muth, the son of good magic, coming down the stretch in Hot Springs to win it.
It's America's original sport. And no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
Back with you on the Sunday card from Oaklawn Park in Hot Springs, Arkansas, here on our FS1 coverage. Race 8, mile to 16th. First allowance condition race. Lost a big contender in here in Lemon Muffin, who was a winner on the road to the Kentucky Oaks last year for Dwayne Lucas. Won that grade 3 Honeybee. We're going to see her next week. But still a talented field, including In Just My Heels, who we'll get to. We start with Sicilian Grandma.
Or Nani in Italian for all the Sicilian grandmas out there. It's going to have to improve.
CC Harbor, even bigger price next door.
Yeah, it doesn't have a lot of early speed, and that could be a problem on this racetrack.
3 and 4. Al, we move to the 5, Legally Lucky, John Horan.
2 for 5 on off tracks, but it's going to have to find a race better than we've seen so far.
Did win impressively in a race off the turf at Hawthorne. It's a different ball game, though. A little tougher company here. Contour, 10-1. Christian Torres rides.
It just feels like more of a turf horse, but does have a couple of dirt races that are just okay.
Brad Cox Barn. Musical Note has Ramon Vasquez on the 7, the favorite.
Yeah, a couple of nice efforts, and the barn has not won at the meet yet, but don't expect that to last too long. Certainly a player here.
Next door. Talked about him going to break. Ron Moquette, In Just My Heels. She's won back-to-back starts at Horseshoe Indy. We'll try and make it 3 in a row here.
My problem is both of those were soft paces, and at a short price here, that doesn't make me feel great.
Let's Duet. Taking money next door. Kenny McPeak and Julian Leperoux. Of course, they won the feature of the Mistletoe, as we mentioned yesterday.
Yeah, deep closer, though. She's hoping to get some pace and come from well out of it.
There's some figures that make Marshide Mama very interesting. Turf back to dirt.
Yeah, last time he was on the dirt, she won.
That was at Prairie Meadows. And then here is Steve Asmussen. Son Eric rides Deviletta. She was in the Iowa Oaks against Jess Basking, who we saw compete in the Alabama.
Yeah, and a tough post. Even with the scratches, still got to negotiate some kind of a trip. But you get Eric Asmussen for his dad, Steve, and the Winchell family, who they've trained for decades. Eric has got to be high on the list for Champion Apprentice Clips Award this year. He's up high in both categories, money won and races won.
Well, Paul, In Just My Heels. So back-to-back victories at Horseshoe Indy. It's going to be a little tougher test, though, today, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I'm in agreement with Jonathan. It's going to be a tougher test. Those last 2 races were kind of like easy paces, but he did enough to win. So I would think, she did enough to win, excuse me. So I think she'll be okay in this spot, but I don't know if I want to play her at 5-2. Now, Musical Note, do you really want to play her at 2-1? Although it does give you confidence that Flavian Pratt got aboard this horse, but this is a horse they only paid $25,000 for, won a restricted race at Turfway Park to break her maiden, then came back at Indiana and won again. So it does have 2 W's under the belt. It does have tactical speed, and Ramon Vasquez, he does not ride a ton, obviously, for Brad Cox, but he'll be aboard Musical Note. The 9 is taking a ton of money for Kenny McPeak. Maybe everybody's reading into yesterday's win. But let's Duet figures in here, but got to have a lot of pace, and it's going to have to do it maybe like Corningstone, although Corningstone was up a lot closer to the pace probably than what the 9 will be in here. The 11, Deviletta, I thought looked tremendous in the post raid. The Winchell charge, the layoff's a tiny bit of a worry. She was pretty fast earlier in her career, and she got a mile right out of the get-go. I landed on the 6 in here. Now, Jonathan mentioned maybe more of a turf horse. I kind of liked that effort 4 back, and if you look at some of the other races, I kind of think this horse might be a better dirt horse. This barn has been on fire to start the meet. You get Christian Torres aboard. I think 11-1 is a nice price. I get it. It's going to be tough to beat some of the favorites in here, but you got to get a price sooner or later. I'm going to go with the 6 here, Contour.
Interesting. Getting back on dirt was a distant third on a sloppy racetrack, Remington Park last time out. And, back to the Kenny McPeak runner, Let's Duet. The 9, she is going to be coming from another zip code. She comes from so far out of it.
She just has no speed whatsoever. But you know what? She's actually closed ground in soft-paced races anyway. She's kind of interesting if things heat up early.
Meanwhile, 2-1 on Musical Note. Is that, JK, a lot of that just because of whose barn she's in?
Well, yeah. I mean, I would say that some of that helps. She's got a couple of wins. Her dirt race that she won at Indiana was good. But yeah, I mean, I would think that that Brad Cox being there probably does influence it a little bit. I want to pick Musical Note, but in this field at a short price, I'm going to look towards the outside and go with the 11. And see if Eric Asmussen can't push the button from the outside there with that tactical speed.
5-1. We will see Devoletta. She has shown some promise, certainly. But now, off since August and getting her first test against older company.
Yeah, but what a nice pedigree, huh? It's late in the season, and I tell you what, I've been impressed with Eric Asmussen as an apprentice. Obviously, with his pedigree, you expect him to be a good rider. His uncle Cash was about as good a rider as I ever rode with.
Changed the game overseas.
Him and Steve Cawthon absolutely revolutionized the way riders rode in England and France.
Set for the 8th. In Just My Heels for Ron Moquette. The 8 trying to win 3 in a row. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman.
The gate goes right at Legally Lucky at 2 back. Contour. And then after Contour, Devoletta. We're ready to go. And they're off. Slow break from Legally Lucky. Contour out alertly with Musical Note from the inside. Sicilian Grandma put into play. And Sicilian Grandma, while on a hold, is naturally quickest. The lineup with her, though. Musical Note is 2 deep, and Just My Heels 3 wide. Devoletta farther out 4 deep. Is now tucking over behind the speed. Musical Note. They around the clubhouse turn. Sicilian Grandma, the leader of length. From In Just My Heels and Devoletta, they're side by side. Musical Note delegates the track in the 4th position. 2.5 lengths off the lead, approaching the backstretch. Then comes Contour, gap of 2. To CC Harbor, who's towards the back of the field. Marshide Mama is there as well. Legally Lucky is second to last, and Let's Duet well behind as a strung-out group makes their way down the backstretch, and Sicilian Grandma is stringing them out. Sicilian Grandma, half length in front. In Just My Heels, they're on the outside to press the pace. Devoletta right on her tail, running in the 3rd position. Then Contour getting closer on the fence. A joint 4th with Musical Note, who approaches the far turn run behind horses going into that far turn. Gap of 4 to Marshide Mama. CC Harbor next in the field. Let's Duet well out of it with Legally Lucky. Around the far turn, In Just My Heels comes calling for the lead. Sicilian Grandma inside, sent hard to keep pace. In Just My Heels, the leader, opens up a length and a tail. Contour's coming after her, though. Contour and Christian Torres after In Just My Heels and Rafael Bejarano. Top the lane. In Just My Heels off the turn with Contour. In Just My Heels asked to finish. Contour alongside. In Just My Heels digs in on the front end. Contour struggling to get by. Now leveling off. It's In Just My Heels and Contour. A slugfest. And look at this. Let's Duet coming from dead last. Let's Duet dancing to the lead from the rail. Let's Duet wins it. In Just My Heels was second. Contour 3rd. Musical Note 4th.
We knew she was going to be awfully far back early, but Let's Duet just relentless down the stretch. Gets up for the win. Kenny McPeak and Julien Leperoux.
This was such a super ride from Julien Leperoux. Let's Duet was in Little Rock when the rest of the field was in Hot Springs, and a rider has to make a judgment going to the half-mile pole. From my position, can I afford to lose ground, come wide, and still have enough time to get there? He made the assessment he couldn't. He had to save ground. The inside was wide open, and he rallied Let's Duet to get up. Julien Leperoux getting up to a nice start at this young Oaklawn meeting.
This is the second, race 4. He came out of nowhere with Lured Away for Kenny McPeak. And Julien, his never been questioned about his patience and his ability to come from off the pace.
That's his comfort zone. He is a rider that confirmed that he's happier coming from off the pace. And when he is forward, when he is on the lead, you know he's got a lot of horse because he's not going to send a horse there.
I remember that a horse he used to ride for Brian Lynch, Heart to Heart, that had that heart patch on the middle of his or her eyes, I believe. I think it was a filly. And he used to find the front end with her all the time, and he was dangerous when he found the front end with her.
He doesn't use them. They're there doing it the right way.
Julian and Kenny McPeak take the featured event both Saturday and Sunday. That stakes win in the Mistletoe, Corningstone. Now this one with Let's Duet. And she picks up the 5th win of her career. She wins at 7-2 on this muddy track here in Hot Springs. Prices and the nightcap when we come back. Nightcap still to come on our Sunday coverage here on America's Day of the Races on Fox Sports 1. It was Let's Duet from another area code for the victory. Kenny McPeak, Julian Leperoux take the main event both Saturday and Sunday in Hot Springs. Let's go to Paulie.
Yeah, I'm with winning rider here, Julian Leperoux. We were joking around. I said, this is almost like Corningstone yesterday. You go, oh, no, I was way farther back today.
Yeah, no, she likes to come from behind. She takes herself actually way back. We try to get her to get a little closer at the beginning, but she just don't finish. She doesn't have that kick after that, so we just leave her alone in the back of the pack and come running at the end.
I mean, you've had a couple really good days, Julian. You talked about coming to this meet last year, getting more familiar here now.
Yeah, no, exactly. Always like you know the people now. I know my way around, so it's nice to be back in Oaklawn. It's a nice track. The people are very good, very nice. So I'm glad to be here.
Well, you got to ring the bell. You said you want to ring the bell in the last race. You got a good shot?
I'm done now.
Oh, you're done?
No, that was so I ring the bell for yesterday because they missed it. And I rang the bell for today again, so here we go.
So they miss ringing the bell, the mistletoe. The only problem is they should have put the mistletoe over the bell so him and Ray Briner could have had a kiss.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, why not? Get the holiday spirit. Productive weekend for Julian Leparoux. Good for him, really starting to settle in there at Oaklawn.
And one of a few riders that won the Eclipse Award as both the champion apprentice and then as a journeyman. Just a couple that ever did it. Steve Cawthon obviously being one of them.
$9.60 for the win, and you broke one of his records, didn't you?
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I broke his money record as an apprentice. And you know what was cool about it? Steve was already riding in England. And one of the first phone calls I got from when I got back to the jockey's room after breaking the record was from him.
Really?
That's what a classy individual Steve Cawthon is.
That's a very cool story. Going to close things out, 6 furlongs in this finale coming up. Arkansas bred runners, first allowance condition race. It's the 4, no coincidence, Speed. And coming off a big maiden win for Ron Moquette, the one to beat. We're going to tell you the story of John Ed Anthony, winningest owner in the history of the racetrack we're showing you here in Hot Springs. And now he has come back strong after a long time away.
Cyberknife was a very talented horse from day one. A very gifted, fast horse, a lot of speed, able to carry it around 2 turns. Looks a tremendous amount like Gun Runner, same ability and talent, beautiful physical, outworked every horse on the board. Holds the track record in the Haskell. He won it in impressive fashion, beating a very good group of horses.
And Cyberknife has won the TVG.com Haskell over Tama. Jack Christopher finished third.
The Arkansas Derby was one of his best. Showed how much talent he really does have and stamped himself as one of the best 3-year-olds in the country.
His name is Cyberknife!
Cyberknife ranks up there as one of the most talented horses I've ever had in training. Multiple Grade 1 winner, brought it every time you let him over there. Excited about him passing on his durability, his soundness, and his talent. And if he does, he could definitely be a breed-shaping stallion.
This is my Oaklawn. They come on for the finish in the Pilgrim Stakes. Annapolis by a head.
It is Annapolis in front. It is Annapolis to win the Coolmore Turf Mile.
Well, a good horse is inspirational, and a good horse makes you want to pursue it even further, but it makes you the rest of your life. It creates a little bit of an ebullience, and you feel excited about life whenever you're winning good races with horses. And they don't come around very often.
And of course, that's Cox's Ridge and Van Landingham. That's the Belmont Paddock. And that's, I think, Tipper's Hill at the Belmont.
The family of John Ed Anthony has been associated with lumber and timber in Arkansas for over 100 years. And it's his home state that serves as the inspiration for the naming of his stable and horses, using Arkansas towns and landmarks. In the 1970s through the 1990s, Loblolly Stable campaigned some of the most famous horses in Oaklawn history, which carried Anthony's famous chocolate brown and yellow silks. Cox's Ridge became Anthony's first prominent horse in the late 1970s. The stable had 3 champions in the 80s and 90s. Temperance Hill was named champion 3-year-old male in 1980. In 1985, Van Landingham won champion older male.
He was a front-running freak. He didn't want anything to do about it. That's the way he was going to race.
and Prairie Bayou was awarded champion 3-year-old male in 1993.
He was trained by Tom Bohannon, was speaking to Tom about what a good job he had done. He looked at me and said, anybody could train this horse.
I was too young to go to the races when Cox's Ridge was racing, but was able to sneak into the track to see Temperance Hill run at Oaklawn. Temperance Hill would be my favorite just because of the races he won and the exposure he gave the stable.
Temperance Hill now takes the lead. It's Temperance Hill, Arkansas Derby winner, taking the lead, going off by 2.
He won the Belmont and then the Travers and then the Jockey Club all in 1 year.
Right, like I was looking over here, this is the Travers.
Oh, it's a tough race to win.
Loblolly also won the Arkansas Derby a record 3 times before being dispersed in the mid-1990s.
Climbed up, winning the Arkansas Derby by a neck. The hometown colors of Loblolly stable of John and Anthony, the 3rd-generation lumberman from Fordyce, Arkansas, who loves winning this home state race.
Horse racing has always been a way for John and Ed to bond, but since starting Shortleaf, it's gone to a whole new level.
We talk daily about what mare to breed to what stallion, or what's going on with the horses in Ocala, or what stallions we should be interested in. You have to stay on top of it on a daily basis, so it's an ongoing thing that we've certainly bonded over the years.
John Ed Anthony was inducted into the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame in 2001, and in March of 2022, Anthony became Oaklawn's all-time leading owner, recording his 270th career win.
It takes your breath away. The highs and lows in this business are peaks and valleys. It's maybe the only sport in the world where when you lose 4 out of 5, you're doing really good. So.
Legendary, all the incredible runners that Loblolly, now Shortleaf Stable, have had. This one bred by Shortleaf Stable, wore music, and it was just at the last meet, they became the all-time winningest owners in the history of Oaklawn Park.
Some of my earliest memories when I was first coming around the racetrack was the Loblolly horses. Joe Canty training them, and Eddie Maple, his main rider. And, you know, Eddie was a guy that was such a great influence on me when I started riding, but what a professional, what a terrific rider. And him and Joe Canty, that was like, you know, peas and carrots. They just, whatever they put on the racetrack was good, and Eddie delivered some fantastic rides on those horses.
Got to be pretty incredible feeling all that success and come back, and now your son, who's a pedigree expert, to be able to do it with your son and have continued success as well.
Everything's better when you can do it with people you love, right?
No question. Going to get to this nightcap coming up when we return. We're going to take a timeout. It has been a history-making year for this man right here, Flavien Prat. And he's got more work to do. New record for stakes wins in a single season, tied for graded stakes wins, and a chance to break that mark later this month.
Flavien Prat has always been a top rider in the country. But since moving his tack to New York in 2022, he's taken his game to new levels. Nowhere was this more evident than this year's Saratoga meet. Although he didn't win the riding title, he still had a record-breaking summer. The 32-year-old set records for most stakes wins with 18, most graded stakes with 14, and 7 Grade 1 victories. With 16 total Grade 1 wins and over $35 million in earnings, can Flavien Prat wrap up his first Career Eclipse Award in 2024?
Yes, he can. It looks like that is a foregone conclusion. Just an incredible year from someone who is so talented. We expected this to happen when he made that move from the West Coast out here to the East. And not just a history-making summer at Saratoga, now a history-making year. New record for stakes wins in a year and tied with Jerry Bailey for the most graded stakes wins in a year, a record that looks like he will have a very good chance to break. He will have a great chance to break with a couple more opportunities. Getting a few days off right now.
Yeah, and you know what? It's good. Like, he's been going at it hard for so long. He's got to be tired, and you don't want this to carry over to next year where you're in a funk and you're exhausted. So getting a bit of a fresh thing now, still with that opportunity to, completely own both records. And I applaud him. He was on a mission. He and his agent made this decision. They could have stayed in California and just dominated, wouldn't even have to work very hard. He came here and took on the challenge, and it worked.
No, he did. He's had an outstanding year, and it's definitely, like you guys mentioned, one of those years that deserves a nice little trophy at the end of it, and he'll have some records as well that people will have to try to break.
And look at the company he's keeping, Jerry Bailey, Irad Ortiz, chasing records of theirs, surpassing Irad's, and now tied with Jerry for most graded stakes. I mean, that's lofty, lofty company.
And you think about it too, and sometimes as good as Irad Ortiz Jr. has been, he's been dominant.
Sure.
Probably a good thing for him, because to have Prat come here, do this, maybe push him even further, and maybe to get a little bit more, even greater heights.
Well, we shouldn't overlook what an incredible year Irad had. It's just, this year was Flavien's year, but he still strung together another brilliant year. I started riding when, $6 million would make you lead, $6 million in purse would make you leading rider in the country. These guys, Irad consistently over $30 million every year. Pretty phenomenal.
We're going to get to the nightcap coming up out in Hot Springs, about 5 minutes to post. In race 9, again in this Arkansas-bred first-level allowance event. The 9-5 favorite, no coincidence, Ron Moquett, Rafael Bejarano. And it was an impressive, for the level, maiden score last time out, but guys, it was all the way back in early February. So we'll see how No Coincidences does off the long time away. Did come on a wet track that win. Let's go to Paul.
Yeah, No Coincidence is the horse to beat in here for Ron Moquett. But again, is the layoff going to be a concern in here? Bad beat for Ron in the last race with the 9 rolling up the rail on him. And, No Coincidence was really good second time out. Now, did get beat by the 9. And here, as you're seeing these horses going through the post parade. The girl in red, I actually thought the 1 in here had a little bit of look in here. Since the blinkers have gone on, that horse has been pretty sharp in here. 2 goes through for Daniel Durham. Lassie, my girl, this is the horse to beat in here. Milton Wilson's already had a win here on the card. And this horse from Evangeline has had some recent racing. So I think, at least from that recent racing, that this is the horse to beat. No Coincidence goes through. Here's War Music, Ingrid Mason, and Isaac Castillo, who's gotten off to a slower start to the meet, has Isaac. But this horse is getting played a little bit. 0 for 17 at Oaklawn. It's just tough for me to endorse. Running in the streets, 10-1. Street Painter should have never been 30-1 on the morning line. This horse has got a good couple races that you can go to, and the last race was really good. 8, big long shot. And then you get to the 9 for Brett Creighton and the 11 Appealing Addie. I think the 11 Appealing Addie is appealing, no pun intended, just because Randy Morse has been sharp with these horses off the, off a little bit of a layoff. So I actually think the 11 could be a surprise horse in here. I'm going to give the 9 a look. But I all think the 3, they all have to beat the 3 in here, Greg. I would put the 3 over the 4 as a favorite. I think the 4 actually is the bet against at 2-1. And to tell you how much I've calmed down, I'm going with Yacht Rock tonight. You know, Greg, Kenny G just played the call to the post, and he is sold out tonight here at Oaklawn Racing and Casino. I'm going to calm my nerves and listen to Mr. Kenny G.
Hear those smooth sounds of the sax from Kenny G. I like it.
Yeah, I like it too, Paul. You know, listen, it's about time the two of us both just relax a bit more. The soothing sounds of Kenny G. That's pretty
cool. They got Kenny G out there at call to post. 2 minutes away from this ninth coming up. We had a horse actually named Yacht Rock. That's how we learned what it was. Jonathan knew what it was all along, but we had to learn about it.
I still don't know what it is.
It's that smooth elevator music.
They don't play any elevator
Soft
music
rock.
in the elevators here, and honestly, they should, because it could take you a while to get from the first floor up here.
What did you guys think about what he said with the 3 Lassie, my girl? He's pretty strong on this filly as the one to beat, who's 7-2 right now.
Yeah, I mean, she makes sense. I think the tricky part between the two favorites, the 3 and the 4, is they're both coming in off of, layoffs, one since March and one since August. And I think that really the game is not so much which one is better, but which one's going to show up, because it's reasonable that one of them doesn't. I'm going to go with the 4, and the reason being is because she ran well first time out, so Ron Moquette knows what it takes to get her ready to run off of a break. So I'm just hoping that he'll be able to have her duplicate that performance or her other lifetime performance.
Even off, when she improved a lot on a wet track, 2-second start, she would probably need to improve off that, wouldn't she, to contend in this field?
Yeah, but you think that she would, just with natural maturation, right? So this is February of her 3-year-old year. Now here we are in mid-December of her 3-year-old year. So she should just naturally improve, no?
No, I mean, look, she should. She should improve, and she's one of those horses that, like you said, she's lightly raced. So there's a lot more for us to find out about her than there is some of the other ones.
Well, and you think, coming off the bench too, Bayrona's going to push that button and go, because she is quick. We know that early, right?
Yeah, I mean, I got to think, particularly these conditions, and watching that race, that the replay we just watched, what a beautiful stride. I mean, the mechanics of her stride were impeccable over that off-going, and she gets off-going again today.
Did you find a lot of horses coming off long layoffs who had inherent speed? Was it that first start coming back? Did you have to try and contain it?
You want to save something, because speed horses run the whole race. It's harder to have a speed horse ready to win off the bench. I think Jonathan makes a great point, though. Obviously, she ran great first time out. There's no bigger layoff than their first start, right? And then came back with a winning effort in February. But it's harder to have horses fit that are speed horses, because they're going to run the entire race.
And one of the reasons I'm going to side with the 4 is she's drawn outside of the 3. So she just has a few more options than the 3 Lassie, my girl.
Short price, 3-2. Coming off the bench here for Ron Moquette. See if she can deliver. What about War Music? That was a big effort last time out at Remington in October. She's got a little more recency than the favorite in here, and she's coming off a career best performance.
Yeah, I think it was a big effort, right? Now she's getting back with Arkansas breds off of that effort. And doesn't she sit that stalking trip? I could see her, just being 3-4 lengths off the pace.
I just don't trust that performance. She kind of jumped out of nowhere. So I wonder if she's actually if she is that good, if she's going to be able to duplicate it. I just trust the other 2 a little bit more.
She's 6-1, the 5 for Ingrid Mason with Isaac Castillo. Favorite, though, loading up. The Gray Filly. No coincidence. First start back since early February when she broke her maiden here on a sloppy sealed track. Nightcap from Oaklawn. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman for the call.
Appealing Addie to the outside post. Here's Appealing Addie. We're ready to go. In the finale. And Leroff, no coincidences, did not break, and she's at the back of the field after that. A bad break for the favorite. The girl in red flashing early speed from the rail post position, strides in front with Lassie My Girl there on the outside to press the pace. Appealing Addie runs in the third position. Then no coincidences, making up ground, significant ground. She had to use a lot of energy to get to where she's at. She's third in a pocket just ahead of Street Painter. Another 3 lengths back to R, Pirate Treasure. She's now being passed by War Music going into the far turn run. Sunny and 70 towards the back of the pack has Sthenic beat and one well far out of it running the streets as they round the forward turn. The girl in red, a neck in front of Lassie My Girl. No coincidences, shaken up from third, loses that spot to Appealing Addie, who claims third coming to the top of the lane. No coincidences, is backing away. Not her day today. Coming down the lane, it's Lassie My Girl and Ricardo Santana Jr. opening up. Turning on the afterburners. The girl in red had no response when Lassie My Girl came up alongside, and now it's just a guessing game of how much Lassie My Girl will win by. She's 7 ahead and strolling in the slop strong. Lassie My Girl, a convincing winner of the nightcap. Appealing Addie was second, third home. Street Painter got tight for fourth between R, Pirate Treasure, the girl in red, and Running the Streets.
Paul LaDuca delivers again with a 7-2 shot. Well done, Paulie. Lassie My Girl, much the best in the finale.
Yeah, great call by Paul, and she just set the trip, right? Got all the way clean, was set up shop just outside the leader. Complexion of the race changed quite a bit. JK won the 4, no coincidences. Missed the break completely.
Yeah, I mean, Paul absolutely nailed it here with this one and got you a nice price as well. The 4 didn't break, and sometimes that happens. When you have a horse who's been away from the races for a while, that's one of the things that can kind of go first is how well they will break away from there. And if you can't break, you can't win.
This was dominant from Lassie My Girl, coming in from Evangeline Downs and loving this wet track. Let's go back to the start.
Yeah, the 4-horse, the Gray Filly, just missed the break, did not get away clean. And now Rafael Bejarano chose to rush her up. And honestly, once you get left like that, best thing you can do, it's a bad hand you were dealt. Put your hands down, let them settle, and just make a run. And making up all that ground while the race is, the pace is fast and they're going quickly, you can't have anything left.
No, and it's just those moves never seem to go well. They never seem to work out. It always seems like a good idea until it's not.
So tough return, but no coincidences. Certainly one to look for next time out with a better break. It has some talent.
Yeah, no doubt. And the fact that she made up all that ground early, if you sit on a horse, the leaders are going to slow down. No one was beating the winner today. I don't care. I mean, Paul was spot on with her. She was just dominant. And even if the 4 broke, no coincidences, I don't think she could have been better than second to this filly. That being said, if they're going 22 and you're making up ground into that 22, you've gone 21 and change. How can you have anything left? Better off sitting on her when they're coming back to you. At least you have some horse and you'll pass horses. It's a better race for the horse, and you got a better chance to get a check.
And I know we called Ron Moquette, who unfortunately had the favorite, didn't break well, the mayor.
Yep.
Paul LaDuca might be his deputy assistant with the way he's handicapping the last couple of years of this meet and the hot start he's off to here.
And such a difficult place to handicap because of all the horses coming from so many different jurisdictions.
Would you say, to Mig's point, Oaklawn, it's the most challenging handicapping there is in the game?
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. I mean, Saratoga's tough because everyone wants to win there and there's big full fields. But, yes, the hard part about Oaklawn is that there's so many horses coming from different places, different connections, and the claiming game there is so tricky. That's the hardest part.
Yeah, I don't think we see horses coming from so many places at any meet all year long, anywhere in the country.
We get it at Saratoga, but not to the degree they get it at Oaklawn.
Hope you enjoyed it. We're back. Our next show, Friday, 3 Eastern start time. Next week, it was Scheduling Dude, one of the many upsets we had on a Pick 6 carryover afternoon that led to a $63,700 return in the Pick 6. Fast and frisky, Dylan Davis for Jorge Abreu taking the 9th at Aqueduct, and Let's Duet. Productive weekend. Kenny McPeak, Julian Leperoux, she came from far back for the win. We'll see you next Friday.
At the Keeneland September yearling sale, the premier thoroughbred auction venue in the world, Mandy Pope of Whisper Hill Farm signed the ticket on the $5 million sale topper by Curlin, bred by Stone Street Thoroughbred Holdings. He was one of $5 million plus yearlings by Curlin to sell. No fewer than 44 of his yearlings fell to the auction gavel, averaging nearly $600,000, making Curlin the #1 sales sire at the September sale. Curlin, the classic sire.
Enhance your handicapping with AI Fast Facts, exclusively on NyraBets. Open your NyraBets app, click View Runner Details, and a stat-driven fact will appear for all U.S. thoroughbred racehorses. Download the NyraBets app to start using Fast Facts today.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level. Gunrunner, sire of a champion 2-year-old. He is the sire of 10 Grade 1 winners and 13 individual millionaires. With $10 million yearlings in 2024, he is the sire of a first crop classic winner. He ranks #2 on the general sire list. Grade 1 winning millionaire gun pilot, new to 3 Chimneys.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.